Oh, and I hit the wrong one. Amazing. Yes. There.
Perfect.
Got it.
Oh, look at that.
Perfect.
Oh,
We're in there though.
Hell yeah.
wow. Look
I
at
gotta
that.
miss the fucking OBS scenes over here.
Oh, you're good, brother. What's up, gang? What's up, everybody?
Oh,
I think we may only have Omni today, but you know, for how it goes right now.
well, the gang will be showing up. Don't you
Yeah,
worry.
gang's coming.
Yeah.
Let me ping Cog again real quick.
Yep.
All right, sick. What's up, y'all? We have a very special guest for you today. Brightsidemovement. He is there. Some kind of.
There we go. Yeah, you're pointing the right
Yeah,
direction.
I did it. Nice. We're gonna talk with Brightside today about getting into game dev, building games, like creative inspiration, all kinds of shit like that. Brightside's a pretty prolific artist. He's made a lot of stuff, makes music, makes video games. You've been doing this shit for a while online, right? Like you got a bunch of videos and stuff that you used to make too, like just content creation, right?
I mean, yeah, a lot of different kinds of forms of content creation, I guess. So I kind of cringe when I hear that, like, oh, I'm a content creator, but it's essentially what we do, it's just different kind of forms, whatever I guess has been keeping me entertained, but helping keep other people entertained at the end of the day as well, too. So it's all cyclical.
The reason I bring that up is because it's all like very creative stuff,
Absolutely. Yeah.
As an artist, you do stuff outside of just one medium. You do like multiple things. And I think that's really cool. A lot of people can kind of get stuck and they're like, I only have a muse for this one thing. Like I only paint or I draw or I write. But you do a lot of different things. So I think that's really cool.
Hey, thank you.
What do you know what like got you into just being creative? Like have you always been into music? Have you always been into like making short films, or is it just kind of a mixed bag? Like where's your head at for that stuff?
I think like, if you said you went down the YouTube rabbit hole and stuff, and that's just the ones with this name attached to it. So I mean, there's ones that, when YouTube was like, just starting up, there was a couple of like small random I guess like Smosh would be a good example, but their early days of like creating those stupid little friend videos and stuff was like definitely the one of the biggest inspirations in terms of like creative I guess renaissances that I've had, like I've always wanted to be a movie editor and like maybe director or something. I always loved movies. So I think when I seen an ability to do that myself, that's when, with YouTube and all that kind of stuff, that's when we really started like creating things and figuring out like ways that maybe you don't have to be kind of like stuck waiting to create something because you need a team and you need budget and you need all this stuff like that the movie industry and the game
100%.
industry and the music industry like kind of tell you need or something, or at least you think you need. And then when you have the ability to do it yourself, I think that's like a very empowering kind of feeling. So when YouTube came around and like getting to make small versions of what I wanted to do, when I guess grew up, technically, that was like a big inspiration. And then the same thing with producing music, because I was always in like bands with my friends. So once producing came into my kind of interest sphere, I was like, oh shit, one person could do the whole band's workload pretty much. So that kind of struck me as like, all right, now I could do this myself as well too. So
Bro's got the AI mindset like a decade early.
Yeah, exactly.
You take everybody's jobs and do it yourself.
Hey, at least like, at least I think when you do things yourself, you kind of learn what needs to be done as well too. So you're not just like blindly
100%.
trusting somebody else to do it and be like, oh, I know how to do it. So it was like the same thing with management and booking in music. Like all my friends, when I was getting into it, were like, oh, I'd love to be your manager. I'd love to be your booking agent. And so many of my other friends did let their homies do that kind of stuff for them. And I was like, I don't know. You're really just kind of putting that workload on somebody else and assuming they're doing it. And I don't think they care about your project as much as you are ever going to do. So like, if you put yourself in that position first, you could realize what needs to be done instead of like the fluff, I mean, maybe, I don't know.
No, I think you're right. I mean, granted, I'm going to draw off of my experience from watching Atlanta, but I'm pretty sure that like Earn didn't do shit for Paperboy for like the first, 6 fucking months. And then he's like, bro, you're my fucking manager. Like, this is my shit on the line. I need you to do this for me, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think you're right. It's really challenging when you have other people invested, because sometimes you get people who just hop on the coattails and they want to ride the train to success, and they're not actually there to like fucking help you. And that's the thing you need, because when you're an artist and you're making your own art, if someone's managing you, they need to make sure that they're doing the best moves for your career, right? So like, absolutely. I see exactly what you're saying. Like, it would be really hard for me to let go. I mean, that's why I do what I'm doing with Fractal Grove now, right? Like, I struggled with a lot of people, especially in AAA, with like them saying they cared about my future and shit like that when they see me as like a potential competitor, and I'm like, you don't fucking care about my future. You want to keep me below you, It's weird. So
to that point, though, then like, all the content that you've made and stuff pretty much edited and mostly created yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I've had friends that do like the videotaping and photography, and have equipment that is way above than what I've had. But all in terms of editing, it's definitely, I've always tried to edit my own stuff, and I would love to work with other people. But in a sense, it was like, all right. I mean, it was my first passion. I wanted to go to school for that and stuff, like, but I wound up going to community college and taking the film program there, and it was like a waste, so I just was like, I could do this myself. If I'm going to go to school, I might as well get something like a business administration fucking degree or something. So
editing is super hard, as I'm sure you are well aware, and is a skill that you really have to hone. So that's props for doing all of that, because I think you see, especially today, a lot of content creators farm it out, or maybe use like an automated thing to do it or something like that. But
it was such a coveted skill, I feel like, up until a couple years ago, and like the reels and all this stuff has made it so easy to just like green screen things out, like so easy that you could just do it on your phone, that I feel like it's not as respected. But it definitely was in those early YouTube days, like watching a Corridor Crew and stuff. You'd be like, oh my god, these are fucking magicians,
I didn't find Corridor Crew until the last, I don't know, 3 to 5 years or so, but they're very, very inspiring to Fractal Grove, and always have been.
Yeah.
I just think,
and I feel like it inspires like just mediums of different kinds of like, oh, try this or try that. And you could see behind the magic of some things. You're like, oh my God, that's actually pretty brilliant. I've learned a whole bunch of like just science and I guess just math stuff from them too, as well.
And you just kind of see these guys that look like their job is just awesome. Like, they just go like hang out with the homies and like make cool shit all day. And,
oh yeah, we're gonna recreate this
awesome office in LA.
Yeah,
we're gonna make dubstep guns. The video, like, I don't know, it was so sick. But
that's a crazy awesome. Good job.
I'm just gonna put up like random stuff from your YouTube while we're talking here, maybe just so people have some like visuals for what we're talking about. But
nice.
I'll keep them muted. But yeah. So,
this
is white chocolate first.
Nice, good old white chocolate. White chocolate's in the house.
So, what do you edit with?
After Effects.
After Effects. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
I think I'm kind of using like a antiquated technique too, because I use After Effects even for like the timeline too. So I don't even use Premiere to put it all together, which I should.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's really bad on RAM and everything too. But I would just. Yeah, After Effects.
Do you do like After Effects things with it, like 3D things and stuff?
Yeah, this one actually, I literally had my friend sleeping on my couch, and we're like, "Let's go film a video," and I fucking edited it in one night, and it's the video that probably did.
This is awesome for one night.
This is like one night. I swear to God,
no joke.
there's, I mean, there was nothing to it visually though. It's just cut up in the sense, It's just.
But that's Tony's point. Editing is really hard, and this is
you get the best content in the world, and if you edit it together poorly, then it's not going to be good. So if anything, this just kind of shows you can make something good out of very little material. So
very little material and a cruising park. That's all you need.
Yeah. Did you?
Is this the cruising park? Is this the one?
Cruising park?
Okay,
yeah.
So now you got to tell the story, because we did hear this one before stream, but we said we had to bring it back. So.
Yeah, I was gonna lob it up to you and be like, "So, was this like a park you go to a lot?"
Actually, we do still walk through it, but I make sure I have my wife with me, hand in hand. I make sure
Nobody gets the
she's
wrong
right there.
idea.
Don't get the wrong idea, but it's crazy because, listen, we're very progressive, but she walks through there and she's even like, this is insane. There's like old men like hovering on their phones, and like there's always old dudes at this one corner, and it's like probably because it's an easy entrance. They don't have to walk through the whole park, but it's legitly pretty crazy because look, I'm in underwear right now. You know what I mean? Like I'm looking like freaking, I'm waving a damn rotisserie chicken in front of a bunch of starving people. It's like this park, we had no idea at the time, but we went there and filmed this whole thing. And there's like an older guy at the end who comes up to us and he's like, "Let me watch. I'll watch." So I do the cones and then give him a high five, right? And it's very innocent now, but who knows what that man was there for, really. So
we know what he was there for.
Yeah, we know.
He was there for the beefy boys, dude.
Yeah, so I mean, long story short, I was walking through this park one day, getting my walk on, and there's some guys just crawling out the bushes, and I'm like, I'm on the phone with my girl, and I'm just like, all right, stay on the phone with me, babe. I don't know what's happening here. And I turn the corner, and another guy scurries out the bushes, and then I see it in the distance. There's a guy with his shirt like up, like a belly shirt, and I'm like, well, I don't know what the fuck's going on here, but we wind up Googling it. And there was like mass arrests that happen at this park, and there was like 50 arrests that happen. And it's a popular cruising spot for people to go and meet up and just, I guess, get their freak on in these bushes right here. You see how luscious these bushes are? You're not seeing anything in there. I'm there, dude. There's people walking out of those bushes. I was like, what the fuck is going on here?
Oh man, that's so good.
Great.
Yeah, there's probably many angles of this video. that guy looked very happy at the end, high-fiving you. He was about it, dude. What's up, Sushi? How you doing?
What's up, Sushi, darling? Turning cog. Yo, how's chat doing today?
We got the
Yo. All right, so I think a good transition from this one is into this one right here. So this one on your Unreal or on your YouTube is labeled First Unreal Project, and happens to feature Mr. White Chocolate again. So that feels like a good transition. But yeah, like talk about how you ended up here.
Yeah, I mean, this is actually the original intent for Unreal Engine. Was getting into Unreal Engine was to expand the music and movie capability that I had. So I wanted to just keep storytelling. And obviously the music videos has been a part of that. There's been a couple in between here and there. As you can see, I'm a little fucking chunkier here too than the last White Chocolate video. I think this was like a couple years into COVID, little stationary white chocolate that we had. But yeah, I mean, this was I think I just downloaded the train sample. It's a pretty popular train asset pack, I think. And I mean, I just kind of brute forced my way into a fucking dance off with whatever's going on here,
Yeah.
With El Cabra, dude.
Yeah, again, I did this myself. There's probably raw footage on my fucking camera somewhere of me dancing in front of the green screen. But yeah, it was my first kind of time jumping into
the comping. Honestly, is like insanely good. The first time I watched this, I was like, wow, this is awesome. So,
thank you.
Really good job.
Well, to be fair, I tried to have my camera in Unreal Engine. That never worked. So I did have to, like I said, brute force it. I had to go into After Effects, take all that footage, rotoscope it, and chroma key it, and then layer it back on, the scene by scene kind of aspect. So it was a bitch, you know what I mean? But like,
I mean, you catch the light like pretty good when it's like flickering and stuff. Like, it's well done.
You. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, this is all the film kind of stuff coming back into play.
Is this stuff you learned at school, or did you get like a good baseline and then like get into learning this on your own?
I literally never learned any editing stuff in school. Like that's why I just quit. I learned all this stuff myself on YouTube, and I was in high school doing video, like a, what do you call it? Like video production class, or what would you call that?
Yeah, that sounds right.
That's what I took in high school, was video production.
Yeah, video production. I was the best editor in the school. Like, you know what I mean? They like my teacher was like, "Yo, you did this shit."
I believe it.
What the hell? And because I was just on After It. That was my first like addiction, you know what I mean, was After Effects and trying to edit that kind of stuff. But it came full circle when I started editing the music videos, and that was like a second renaissance of that. And now I feel like it's third renaissance with the game making, and you need, level sequencers and trailers and all that kind of stuff. So everything has come full circle, and like all the stuff that I've needed has come into play again. So it just one more notch in the belt, I guess, of like things that needed to be done to get to this state, because I would have never felt comfortable making a game if I didn't know how to edit and do all this stuff, make music and all that stuff on top of that. Like that was the last key so far. I would not been able to start with that. There's just too much that goes into the game making.
So when you start off like thinking about something you want to make, like you're a very creative dude. Do you have stuff that you just find really inspiring, or these like stories from your childhood that you like think about, like messing around with your boys and just getting into silly situations, films, like music? Like what are your inspirations? Like where do you draw that source of like creativity from?
You know what? I look at someone like the creator of like Binding of Isaac, and hearing the Meat Boy story and stuff, and I get really, I'm not like jealous, but I almost wish I had inspiration like that, where like things were clear from where they come from. Like I almost feel like there's kind of like ambiguity from some of the stuff I make, and sometimes it's just being so deep in it that I have to come up with it. You know what I mean? I've kind of backed myself into a wall where something needs to come out of that. But yeah, I mean, I can't think of too many instances where I have like, oh, this was a story I've wanted to tell since I was like a little kid, and this, that, and the third. I feel like it's kind of whenever I get the inspiration, I kind of run with it, and maybe I pick up the technical ability after the fact, but it's, I think anything that I feel the need to kind of get out there, it comes. And I try my best to get it out there as best as I can. But yeah, I haven't had like these stories that I've wanted to tell since like a little kid, or this, that, and the third. So I don't know. Sometimes it's just maybe the state of the world.
I think that leads sort of naturally into like the next question. As I played Silent Sonata, it made me think a lot that this was like maybe a very personal story, because I was like, there's a lot of like real shit in here, like these seem like personal experiences that the creator is potentially expressing themselves in this way in this game. Do you think that there's a little bit of a difference there, where you're like kind of through a little bit of catharsis because you're a musician? Like is this a part of your own story, or were you like inspired by your experiences being a musician, or any of that?
Wow. Yeah, I mean, definitely, especially not to get conspiratorial, but with everything that's come out in the last couple,
let's go.
Not to get conspiratorial, but tinfoil hats out. But no, with everything that's come out in the last like couple weeks and shit, and seeing that it does have a hold on music and arts and everything, you know what I mean, that a little bit of that is kind of, I don't know what's the word, vilifying, I guess, like or vindicating, actually. It actually makes you feel a little bit like, oh, maybe I wasn't going crazy here, and maybe there are some other factors at play. It's not just about who's putting in the time and effort and stuff. And I think that's what this kind of game was about. It's a horror game about a musician, so I think that's pretty on the head of like, where I got an inspiration from. But in terms of me dealing with like demons and stuff, I think that's a little bit more like folklore, you know what I mean? I kind of took maybe my own personal pain or feelings towards an industry that has kind of turned, or like seemingly turned evil, or something that you're so passionate about can be turned into something so used against you. I think that's crazy, and I think that was kind of part of the message of the game, and I didn't want to make that so ham-fisted, but that kind of is essentially the thing. The theme of the game is where it's easy to fall into these traps where your passion can get used against you. And yeah, that's kind of definitely on the nose, something that I've dealt with, but I think I tried to convey it in a little bit more of a 3 layers of irony almost, or more something that you could physically see, physically manifest.
Yeah, and I didn't say that thinking like, oh, this is poorly executed or like done in a very heavy-handed way. But I saw it as like, oh man, this is like some real shit that I'm sure a musician struggles with. So that's why I wanted to ask that question specifically. It almost felt to me like an expression of the musician is having this big moment in their career where they're playing this big show in like a fancy place, doing this thing, but like everything just starts to go wrong in ways that they don't understand, and they're chasing this mystery. So that was why I wanted to ask the question in that way. And it sounds like that is something of a personal experience, whether or not you intended it. So I think that that's cool. It's interesting to hear that part of inspiration, from you. And, I can imagine, having experienced some of these things myself, it's a lot of this stuff, especially as a creative, no matter what kind of art you're making, you run into these situations where it really isn't what you know or what you can do. It's who you know and how you relate to them, and whether or not, you've passed the gatekeeper's check, stuff like that. Right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's kind of crazy to think, because like, this dude specifically, one of these guys has been named, right? And his name is on the company that's on so many of these booking agents and the Olympic and stuff. And it's just crazy to think that like some of these artists that are on that roster, right? Like these are just normal people. So of course their money, their everything that they worked for is on the line. And I empathize with that. But there's also like, I would also be fucking angry if I was them too.
Absolutely.
So to hear almost absolutely nothing, or like to hear like, we're calling for the resignation of this guy. It's like, is that enough? Like, dude, if my art was being fucking used and abused and being kind of like peddled, and somebody had their money all the way, or somebody had their hands in the pockets of my art, and it's being pushed all the way to that shit, I would be fucking angry.
Yes.
So I don't know. It's like I said, it kind of vilified a little bit of like the weird shit that I'm feeling. And I don't know if that's just retrospect being 2020. So like, I don't think I had all of these feelings concrete when I was making the game. So I can't 100% take credit like, oh, this was the reason. But
no, man, you're just making art, and like your muse, is like somewhere inside, and like good art comes from catharsis. Like in my experience, like, they always say like, artists have to struggle. It doesn't matter what you're making. Like if you're not struggling and you haven't experienced pain and struggle, like you can't really make good art, because it's human. We all struggle. We all experience hard times. And like, I feel that in this. Whereas I would say by contrast, I don't necessarily feel the same vibes in like a personal story that I get in Slice and Dice, Deeper Survival. Like that one seems more whimsical, more like, wacky Brightside making the white chocolate video, right? Like whereas like Silent Sonata seemed really personal. Like, so, and it's all good if it wasn't, front of your mind when you were making it. That's totally okay.
Yeah. But
did you hear the headlines about Levity dropping their management over all that?
Yeah, definitely.
A couple big artists that are, feeling
the
way you're feeling, for sure, which is cool to see. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah. And that's definitely, that's, I mean, come on, that's how if it's not a global conspiracy at this point, then we see how easy it is to be complicit in some sort of thing like that, where you're like, oh, my money is tied into this, so I'm just going to stay silent and and not even just like that. That's the biggest thing, but you just see how easy it is to brush over. And we're like, oh, I just called for the resignation of this guy. It was like, what about the other people who were involved?
To your point, like you're literally making that guy money at the end of the day, and like paying for whatever's going on up there. So,
I mean, to the game developers' point too. I mean, like, what about the connections with like COD and all that kind of stuff too? Is like, doesn't that sully the name of some of these people too? And like, shouldn't that get these people upset that like they're being tied into this kind of whole conspiracy now, and their whole life's work is kind of like, it's got a black cloud above it, and it's like, damn, man, like this is my art, this is what I care for, this is like my whole life's dedication, and now it's being kind of abused. And it's like, I don't know, I feel like that's a little bit of an angry feeling.
It feels very dirty. And like, I have only talked about it or touched on it briefly on stream, but there's gatekeepers everywhere in the games industry for sure. And if you have a bad interaction with someone, or they just don't like your face, like that can fuck your whole career up. And like, that's crazy to me. Like, why? Like good art should just stand on its own. So, me personally, I'm really happy that this is the best time to be an indie dev. There's never been a better time to be an indie dev 100%. In the history of the industry. So it's really cool that we have a chance, for people like us and people like you to get out into that space and just start making cool shit. So how long have you been making games just overall? You have 2 titles out, right? You don't have any more than that, just Silent
Yeah.
Sonata and Slice and Dice Pizza Survival?
Yeah, that's it. Just those two, you know, just
No, that's good, man. It's
yeah.
really good. There's
It's 2
tons
more
of
than we got,
people who
man.
never fucking finish a game, and like there's a lot of people who like to say, I'm an indie dev, I'm a game dev, but they don't put anything out. So you know, don't shit on yourself with that. You've at least you put 2 games out. Like you're in that top 10% now of people who've actually done a thing. So that being said, like, do you have goals for like what you want to do with the games, or is this just another creative outlet that you have? Because it's you know, it sounds like that's your thing. It's just you make shit. You feel compelled.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely, I would like to probably make it as full circle as possible. Maybe just have like an entertainment like agency in general, you know. I don't know what that entails, but kind of multimedia in terms of, you know, we could do games, we could do content creation and editing and music making and like whatever it may be. Like I've done a ton of like edited little fucking promo videos and all that kind of stuff. So I'm keen to all that kind of stuff, you know, like different formats and all this little extra bullshit that comes along with you know, in years. I mean, it was always a multimedia project. Like I think my SoundCloud project was always you know, ever changing media kind of like is just what my entire presence has been, you know, whether it be making music videos and doing it myself in that way or giving out little sample packs and stuff. I used to do like a series called like Real Sounds for the Real from the Real World, Weird Sounds from the Real World. And it's like you'd give out sample packs from like little things, you know, maybe I'd sample lighter one week or something. I mean, I guess that evolved into the beat off, but kind of just continue stuff like that, you know, where essentially it's just a brand of different multimedia and maybe we could find like-minded people who kind of do the same thing and not just are good at one specific area, but, you know, are like hitting a couple nails on the head.
So how do you you know, this is kind of a probably a hard question. We were watching it's funny that you mentioned it because like we were literally watching this before the stream and it's great. But where does like so I understand where like the video editing comes in, the you know the tie-ins, like moving into creating games and stuff like that. Where did music come from? Was there like a moment as a child that you were just, or were you always musical? You know, something like that. Where does that come from?
Yeah, I think my household was always like just in like they just enjoyed music in general, you know. So it's like I was never not listening to music. We always had some stuff going on. My mom jokes, and I don't know if it's a joke or serious, but she's like, "Yeah, you're named after Eric Clapton," you know, because there's no other Erics in my family. They're like everyone's a Joe. Like my little brother's Joe, my dad's Joe. So usually the firstborn gets the namesake, you know, but they skip me and
They
they
were
gave it to
feeling that
him.
Clapton, dude.
Yeah, so I mean, I feel like it was just bestowed upon me that, like, you know, whether it was joking or not, that I think I've just always been into music, you know, like bands as a kid, and like I think that was maybe even before video editing, like being in a little band with friends and playing drums, and you know, I didn't know what the fuck I was doing, just smacking shit. So I don't know if you consider that, but that was always a passion as well, too. You know, it was like the music part of it.
What kind of
So
bands were you in?
it was like, you know, I would say like alternative rock to punk, you know, like
Okay.
stuff like that. But I mean,
I was like, it's either gonna be like deathcore or Incubus, and no in
yeah,
between.
it
Okay.
was like Blink 182. We were like trying to be like Blink 182 or something.
Okay.
You
Yeah,
know?
for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, sweet.
Absolutely. Yep. Okay.
No, I get that. I definitely, so I tried that when I was a teenager and I was like, I want to write music. I want to be like a vocalist and stuff. And I can sing, but I do not understand music whatsoever. I just don't get it. It's like there's parts of my brain missing that understand like math and music are very close and they're like the same thing. And like math is hard for me too. That's not to say I can't do math, but it's just one of those things that like my head doesn't do. So the fact that you were able to continue that and make that a big part of your life is really interesting to me. Is there, this is probably a harder question. Is there like an artist that musical artist that is like your biggest inspiration, or like something that you're like, I fucking love this type of shit, and this is like something that I want to make or like aspire to do?
Yeah. I mean, for when I was heavy into it for the first 10, 15 years, it was Bass Nectar, you know, but that, I mean, just in terms of live mixing and stuff, that was like the best electronic show that I went to. You know, I was addicted to going to festivals and all this kind of stuff. And then once we hit a Bass Nectar show, it was like, what the fuck is all the rest of this shit?
It was super creative and
yeah,
absolutely.
And then it just as soon as some rumblings of bad stuff from him started happening, I was like, all right, ixnay on that. You know what I mean? It was that easy. You know, it's like it's that easy. That's what I'm saying. I mean, money's not tied up into it, but as soon as you start hearing some weird shit, that's it.
For people who don't know, Bass Nectar has had a lot of controversy over some bad stuff that he did while he was really famous, and he got pretty canceled over it and has never really come back. So that's kind of what we're referring to.
And more so than that too, people have come back, like Chris D'Elia and other people have come back from accusations, but it's just I think his attitude toward it has been like turned me off as like a man, you know, like there's no accountability. He's all like, I was set up almost, you know, it's like,
it's not my fault.
It's not my fault. It's not my fault.
And one of the things that Bass Nectar is doing now is like going around the entire industry to some extent, and he has his own subscription service and his own streaming service, and he puts on these like weird private shows that you can only buy tickets to if you're in his like subscriber thing, and it's all kind of, in my opinion, you know, an effort to like kind of avoid the mainstream because of all the negative attention. But I don't know, it's been interesting to watch, and I think to your point, it's kind of him just going like, it's not my fault, so I'm just gonna like ignore it and go around it. And,
and from somebody who was preaching accountability and questioning everything, it's like that's not. It's just it's kind of like
the main guy of be safe, treat everybody nice, like all the plur and everything. So it's super ironic that he ended up being one of the bad ones. But
so
I feel like that's just a symptom of it, right? As people gain like fame, like when you make art that people love, you know, I'm sure you guys out there on Twitch have heard the term parasocial. And you get these like relationships with people that are not real, and they like gas you up. I've experienced this to a very small degree with my, you know, Destiny work, but you have these very strange interactions with other human beings where they're like, I know you, you're my best friend, I love you, you're my favorite, you do all these things. And if you let that shit go to your head, you lose perspective and you start to get a little crazy, you start doing weird shit. And I think that's one of the important things to like keep in check, you know. That's probably what sent Bass Nectar down a weird road. He's like, oh, I can just get away with it, you know, because everyone else is doing this, I should be able to get away with it.
Exactly.
You know, like Space Jesus was an artist that I really liked, and the same shit fucking started happening with that guy, and like he's not really coming back either. It's not working out for him.
He tried as well too.
He tried really hard, and like right at the peak.
And that's what's sad as well too. Like I could empathize with you thinking you're gonna come back and be important, and then nobody fucking cares, and you're like, yo, I thought people cared, and that's like a fucking sad feeling. You know what I mean? So I could empathize with that, but also like fucking man up and be responsible for what you did. You know what I mean? Like, so take some responsibility. Or, you know, it's like we're gonna slander him back, or this guy was harassing me, and he was, honestly, this guy fucking that, you know, was like on Nectar's case. This guy was like a psychopath, you know, but at the same time, like you're arguing with a psychopath, like you're like, look at him, and look what he did. It's like, how about you look what you did, man? Like fucking own up to it, everybody, you know? I don't know. I think personal responsibility is kind of like gone, you know, especially with everything that's released. Everyone's like, what are they going to do? What are they going to do? What are they going to do? What are we going to do? Like, are you going to stop supporting these people through and through? Like, there's entertainment, there's music, there's all this stuff that is trickled down. Like, you have an obligation now to kind of look into the art you're consuming, anything you're consuming, and know if it is ethical or not. You know what I mean? Like, that's on us now. We have to know what we're supporting in that sense, because like, or else people are just going to be able to kind of skirt by. You know what I mean? Like, we can't wait for a politician to help. Like, they're not going to help. So we have to be the ones to kind of vote with our dollar now and vote with our support. Absolutely. So, I mean, it's like on us too. Whereas personal responsibility, like, are you doing Hillary Clinton skull crushers right now too? Like at the gym, like what's your motivation, bro? You know what I mean?
Can you explain what a Hillary Clinton skull crusher is?
I mean, it is what it sounds like, dude. I'm doing fucking, you know, I'm doing Woody Allen fucking You know what I mean? That's my motivation at the gym these days, bro.
Nice, man. Yeah.
All right.
Just smash.
It's working, so I mean, I'll take the advice. So
we have to be ready, dude. You catch one of these fuckers in an elevator, dude. I'm throwing some bows at one of them.
Shit,
You know?
There you go. There you go. Nice, dude.
Yeah.
I love it. The hard part for me, as someone who loves art, is like, so you got to think about this. Please bear in mind, I'm not trying to justify any of these fucked up behaviors, but what I'm trying to say is that, like, I was talking about how struggle and like these people are sort of broken anyway to make good art, right? Like it's just a part of who we all are. But not giving into that mess, I think, is like a big piece of it. Like, still be a good person at the end of the day. The difficult thing for me is to try to separate the art from the artist. But you make a good point. Like, you got to recognize that if you're supporting the art, you're supporting the artist.
Yeah.
And if they're doing really bad things, maybe sometimes the art isn't worth it, right? Like we can talk about the Weinstein Company, right? Like Harvey was doing some fucking crazy shit, really crazy shit. But all of the films that we know and love, and like all of the talent that we know and love, had to go through that guy at one point. That's fucking horrible,
dude.
It's really bad. Like, why does this shit have to exist this way? And I think that's why I'm saying, these gatekeepers are really frustrating, because like these people get into these positions of power because they're already, sociopathic in one way. So they leverage all this stuff against us, where people want to be good and they want to trust and they want to believe in like the good nature of another human being. And then they insert themselves into this process and become someone that says like, you don't get in the club. You can't make cool art. I think luckily we live in a time where we've got stuff like live streaming, where you can literally just become, the artist that you want to be with a following without these major players in the way. I was thinking about something crazy. I don't know if this is actually true, but I kind of had this idea that I think music, at least for me growing up, you would hear songs that were played on the radio. And so you would be like, I like that song. It wasn't because the music was good. It was because you were told to listen to it. There were gatekeepers that were saying, this is the music that's going to be there. That doesn't really exist anymore because people can just stream and become, blow up overnight because they just make really good shit. Do you think that's true? Or am I like kind of way out there with this idea?
No, I definitely put the power in the hands, but it's also like, I think, there's going to be another way to manipulate it as well too. Like, there wasn't always the way with radio, but then they found out, oh, hey, we could kind of cater to this. So I don't know what it is with streaming too yet. I mean, maybe there's like conspiracies out there, but I feel like it's like, it's like, it does put the power in the people's hands, but it's only it's only a matter of time before that is a way to get manipulated too. Like I feel like with indie game devs, right? That's a hot thing, right? To support indie game devs. I almost feel like some of these guys could have shell companies, like, I don't know, like Ubisoft could have a shell company and call it JT Games or something. And then they act like an indie game developer. Meanwhile, 100%. It's a fucking super funded thing and it blows up, I mean, I think it's like the same thing as it's like a Milli Vanilli kind of thing for game devs,
Exactly.
So I think it could be with streaming as well too, like it's just maybe it puts the power in the hands of the people, but maybe it's like the illusion of power.
I think there's, like you guys were saying, there's only a matter of time until they figure out how to get in there. And to your point about like these shell companies and shit, there was the guy that made Megabonk. He was masquerading as like solo indie dev, and he's like, "This is my first game," and like, I'm not saying this guy's a bad guy. He's not at all. And he immediately was like, I don't deserve an award. I've been a professional game developer for like the last 15 years. I know what I'm doing before I made this, but his marketing was really good because he sort of had that, air around him, this like persona of who is this guy? Where did he come from? Look how good this game is. His game was very successful. So it's only a matter of time until they get in there. They can't figure it out yet, which is great. I know that, music, there can be sort of a formula that people will attach to. There's a lot of study that's gone into it. Same with film. There's a formula where you go like, if you follow these rules, this will be a commercial success no matter what. That does not exist in games yet, which is fantastic. So that's why you see all these games like Concord, come out and just immediately explode, even though there's hundreds of millions of dollars invested in it. So I wonder if we can get back to that place with like music and film where we just don't have that, right? I'm trying to think of different art forms. There was you know, speaking of like canceled artists that maybe did bad things, Jerry Seinfeld on Comedians in Cars with Coffee, he was talking about how the thing that keeps him doing comedy, what he really loves, is that the laughs are real. You can't fake those. You can't just promote a comedian all the way up and say like, this guy's the best guy and everyone loves him. It doesn't work that way. It has to be real. The art has to be there. Can either of you guys think of like any other art form that like has that purity in it where it has to be like a real thing other than video games, I guess?
I mean, I would argue even comedy kind of can be like a little bit. Sometimes you go see the comedian and not the comedy, you know, like I think that's what people are paying for as well too. So they almost want to laugh because of everything that's on the line. They go out and they pay for a babysitter. They bring their girl to dinner. There's $300 in the line, you know, and then they're sitting there and they're like, all right, we better laugh, you know? So maybe it could be, you know, that's even more of pressure because it's harder to make them laugh. But also I feel like sometimes you do pay for the comedian, you know, like some of these guys, they just like Sebastian Maniscalco and stuff. Like he used to be so fucking funny. And I think it's just kind of takes the edge off slowly, you know, but he's still getting the laughs in the bigger stadiums and stuff. But I feel like he was funnier back then. I mean, maybe that's a personal opinion, but I feel like at a certain point, maybe it kind of goes back down, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. As the gatekeepers get in there and start telling you what you need to put in your act because they got all these focus groups and numbers that are saying that this is going to do better.
Do the voice again. Do the voice again, you know?
Even like the music industry kind of feels like goes that way a little bit. Like, yeah, I don't know. I would argue like Excision probably wouldn't be as popular if there wasn't like a 150-foot tall stage spewing fire with like a giant robot dinosaur on it and 100%. Stuff. Like, I don't know. People are going to see that. They're not going because they really, really, really like Neckbreaker or whatever the fuck it is, you know? So,
I mean, if you want to talk about that, like, it's the fight industry as well, too. You could think about this is the most, you know, just stripped down bear to bear man combat, just two dudes fighting, and yet politics has gotten involved in that as well too, where two of the best guys aren't fighting. They have the number 1 guy versus the number 6 guy because the number 6 guy sells all the tickets. So like they know they need to get Sugar Shane up on get him the belt because he's going to sell more than you know, whoever, like the Russian dude who's just a fucking wrestler that nobody cares about because he's not popular on social media. So like
Balashvili or whatever.
Yeah, like Makovech or like any of these guys, like you're just like they don't sell as many tickets, so the UFC doesn't want to push them as hard, but that's not the fighting game, you know? So you don't even have the 2 best fighters fighting anymore. You have like it's just who sells tickets. So it's if something is I don't want to say sacred as fighting, but like something as stripped down where that's just 2 dudes bucking it out. There's no like, oh, you need multi-million-dollar setups and all this, dude. Like you could go to a bar and you could catch the same thing. Like
the cool thing about UFC is just like beat the shit out of each other. Like who cares what style you use or what you do? Like go for it. Dude. So
yeah. And it's even that's like it's been tainted. So I'm like, I think everything from the top down is like it's got its hands, you know, pretty dirty. Everyone's complicit in kind of like muddying up the waters for other reasons, you know.
And then I think you made a good point about comedians because, like, as you were talking about that, Bert Kreischer immediately came to mind. And I know Bert Kreischer was like, I fucking hate taking my shirt off. I feel so one note. I want to stop doing this. And I watched him on, it was probably 2 Bears or whatever, him and Tom Segura. But he was talking about it and he was like, dude, I want to stop taking my shirt off and try some other stuff. And he's like, I bombed really fucking hard. People were like, take it off, take it off. And the crowd fucking hated me until I just went back into the machine routine. And I was like, holy fuck, dude, imagine. Like, you're like, I'm an artist. I want to express myself. And everyone's like, dance monkey, do the fucking thing. And you're like, what am I even doing with my fucking life right now? You know, like you have to reconcile that at some point. So
I think that's why I've always bounced back and forth too, because like certain things happen like that. And then I'm like, I don't want to fucking dance for these people. These people are so quick to throw you out. Like, that's why I say I can sympathize with that level of like, yo, these people don't care anymore. Like I dedicated my life to this. I made a mistake. You know, but these people are like, fuck you, you know, it's like, I'm not going to entertain somebody who literally is like, would throw me on a crucifix the next day, you know, but that's kind of like the nature of the game. You know what I mean? Like you have to kind of you have to do what you know, like you don't want to do as well too. So it does kind of help to bounce back and forth where you're not like stuck in that dance monkey mode. You could always be like, fucking, I'll pivot right now. Fuck you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's so my version of that is like, because I worked on Destiny, people are like, "Oh, when are you making another shooter?" And I'm like, "That's a long way away." Like, making a shooter is a big endeavor. I've made one before on a team of like 500 people, so I know what it takes to make a really high budget shooter. So why would I start with making a shooter? Like, that's crazy. And so then people are like, "Oh, what are you making?" I'm like, "I'm working on VR." And they're like, "What the fuck? Why would you do that?" And I'm like, because it's it's what we want to do. It's like, it's our thing. And then, why would you make a horror game, right? And I'm like, inspiration hit. That's the way it works. Like, I'm not gonna, restrict myself as a creative to like any specific genre of video game. I want to make all kinds of games. I want to just do all of it. I love the medium. It's my favorite way to express myself.
No, definitely. That's awesome too. Is like, the limitless is not like, because that's a pretty, putting yourself in a box as an artist. That seems like a prison sentence.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
I don't know.
It's so hard, because I imagine when you finally hit and like the money's rolling in and you're riding the good times on the way up the roller coaster, like you're always waiting for the fucking drop. Always waiting, and you're like, when is it not going to hit anymore? When am I going to like put out something bad, or when is my career peaked? And I'm always chasing that last, that last big game I made, that last big single, that last like comedy act or that film, and going like, is this all I am? Am I something else?
I know. That's what I heard actually was what a big thing that was weighing on Pretty Lights' mind when he was taking a big hiatus. I don't know if you're familiar with Pretty Lights, but he's a producer. Yeah, okay. He
I am.
Yeah. Well, during his hiatus, I heard that was one of the things, and I don't know if it was true, but like, the Pretty Lights family was saying that like he was kind of combating thoughts of like, yo, is my old stuff my best work? Can I top the stuff like, taking up your precious time or stuff like that? So it's like,
which is probably not possible, to be honest, but I don't know. Like the fam is interesting, because the joke that always gets made that I hear is like, nobody hates the fam more than the fam. But it's it's just like all really passionate fans who are all very opinionated and all arguing about things and speculating about artists who basically never talk to the public and don't ever make statements about what they're doing or what's going on with them. And Pretty Lights, Derek Vincent Smith has gone through a lot of different phases where people have thought, he's not doing so good. Maybe he's on drugs. And there's other times where it seems like he's doing really good. It seems like he's doing awesome right now. He just had a baby. PL, finally came back for the first time the last couple of years. And the shows sound a lot better than they did before the hiatus. And so it's been cool. But yeah, I mean, it's been a lot of the same stuff that we're talking about. And you can tell that he especially just is not going to fuck with it. He's like, I'm just going to shut down and not talk to anybody. Nobody's going to see me. I'm going to just be happy and live my life. And then I'll come back when I feel like it. And, that went okay for him. But right before his hiatus too, he was getting really into the modular synths. And I think trying to figure out ways to like do live jams and performances and stuff. And it wasn't quite there. And he played a couple of shows that really upset people. And like, frankly, were just not very good. And, that was right before they shut it all down for quite a while. And then, they came back strong, but it's been interesting to see.
Tony, who was that artist that you were telling me was like really experimenting with their styles that did do well? Was it Porter? It was Porter.
I mean, Porter, every time he comes out with an album, it's like vastly different style than the one before it.
But, and like the fans were like mad. Right?
There's always a subset of fans that just want Porter to make more worlds every time he comes out with an album, because that's kind of the one that all the weebs and everybody like got really, really into, and it came out, and incredible album, don't get me wrong. But Porter, much in the same way, has just kind of said like, I don't want to keep doing the monkey dance. I don't want to keep making the same shit. I want to make the stuff that sounds cool to me and that I want to make. And I don't really give a shit what anybody else thinks. Like, he's come out and said that many times. And as far as Porter goes, I think it's actually really worked for him. Like, he definitely is not holding on to the same fans that he had when he was playing Electro, or even, from Worlds or anything like that. But new people fuck with his music every time he comes out with an album. And I think a lot of his fans stay around and can at least appreciate it. And, I'll say every time he makes an album, I'm probably a little less likely to play it on repeat than the one before it, but I still appreciate it for what it is. So,
yeah. And I think that's cool too. It's probably like the same thing as the guy who just made, what was the Meowing? Eugenics. Yeah. Like,
Eugenics, yeah.
you know, people might not like it as much as the other shit, but they're going to support it because they're like, yo, I fuck with this guy and I think, you know, he's cool and blah, blah, blah. And I think it's the same thing. Like that's important to have in this industry as well too, or any industry where like somebody doesn't have to be in your face all the fucking time and, oh, look at my game and look at this and look at that. And they could just pop up and they just come back. Cause that gives me hope for like the real shit. Actually, there's place for it. You know what I mean?
And you do see it with the Eugenics guy, or who's the one that made Baby Steps? Bennett Foddy. Like,
oh yeah, the Foddy.
It seems like those guys. Like, to be fair, they are sitting on a bag from their past projects, and people really like their work, so they can benefit from that. But like, it's cool to see those guys kind of just go quiet and just make something in the background for a couple of years, and then just like come out one day and be like, "Hey, here's this thing we made. Check it out." And you know, they're extremely successful when they do that. And
yeah, it makes you feel like you don't have to do the song and dance like everybody else right now. And it's like, all right, I see this person doing it. That's how I got to promote my game. And then that's how like the fucking cycle continues, you know?
Yep.
Everyone's 100%. Dancing in front of their fucking webcam. Oh, look at this. My song.
We don't all have the moves that you have, brother.
but I think you see kind of what we definitely see and talk about, which is just like, I don't know, to some extent, we shouldn't put all of our eggs in one basket because all of the industries that we're kind of like sticking our fingers into are very volatile and, you know, extremely competitive and very like difficult across the board. Definitely. And, you know, it just, Vince and I have always kind of talked about the fact that like game dev is the thing we want to do, but we recognize that like you have to do all of the other stuff or it's not going to happen. And, you know, you got to massage one hand with the other, or whatever the saying is. And you know, I do think you, of most of the people in our community, probably are executing on that, you know, better than most, because you know, you have all of your music stuff and you've done a lot of interviewing and streaming and producing, and you've got 2 games shipped and you've made all these cool music videos. So I don't know, it's cool to know you, and it's cool to like, you know, be able to talk to you about all of this, because we've been kind of, you know, hanging out on the fringes of each other's communities and stuff for a long time now. And
no, it's mutual, man. It's definitely, it's nice because like you know, I see some of these people, you know, you mentioned levity and stuff, and I saw like them, I saw like a thing about them like 2 days ago or something. They said they popped up in like 2019, and I'm like, how much history can you honestly have coming up in 2019, you know, and you're already on like national stages in 2023. Like,
I mean, there's a lot of speculation with levity that they're, you know, industry plants and all that
absolutely
stuff. But like,
I mean, I don't think there's any, there's no way you can get around that with that level of trajectory, you know? So from being in anybody in the industry that sees a meteoric rise like that, you know, in any industry, that's not natural. You
somebody's pulling the strings, at least, for sure. Like Rez didn't just like pop up one day and play the Pagoda stage at Shambhala and like explode. Like somebody made all of that happen, probably. But,
exactly.
You know?
So it's like I like seeing when people have history, like you could look back and see, oh, somebody was grinding in like 2012 and they just got their flowers now. It's like, all right, I can't hate as much as I don't like somebody's music, or I don't like a person's art or whatever. I'm like, all right, they grinded for that and they stuck it out. And I fucking know how hard-headed you have to be to kind of just constantly be rejected, you know, like every single day it's just a constant failure. Every single day you're just like not getting what you're looking for, but you're still doing it. And I think that's
Dude, I think to that point though, like I was scrolling through, I hadn't really seen this meet and greet stuff that you used to do, and I know you kind of mentioned it a little earlier in the show, and I got it up on the screen here, but there are some names in here. Like I was kind of impressed, dude. Like there you got like, I don't know, Rekno, the T-Boo, like Lizzie Jane. Like I've seen a lot of these people live that you got to interview on here. Like it's very cool to see that, like, you know, these people. Nodix, like, definitely know these people's music. Sokka, fucking crazy, dude. Nice. So cool. Smoke Land. Yeah.
Listen, I've been around, man. I know these dudes, and it's just crazy to see though. Like, you know, you do this kind of thing as an artist, and listen, I'm not trying to. I don't do these things and expect reciprocation, but this is the only way I've seen my communities grow, my things grow, is by like embracing other communities as well too. And you know, I feel like that's not really reciprocated in any of these art forms in general. Like nobody's really looking back and being like, oh, let me help out somebody who's coming up or something. Let me like talk to somebody who's coming up. It's more like, let me look up and see who could help me, you know? So seeing a lot of these, not these artists, but a lot of artists in general who I have known in the past too, and there's literally no reciprocation. It's like, all right, it just makes you think, all right, like you got to keep helping people out. You got to keep fucking reaching out.
You got the right mindset. You got to expect nothing, and someday, it's all going to come back around, and people aren't going to be saying that about you, that like they feel like you took advantage of them. They're just going to be like, Brightside's a great guy, and he's always willing to help me out when I need him. And that's who you want to be, because people will remember that.
They'll throw you the line when you need it, and then you'll be like, there it is. It's all coming together.
Yeah.
Boys, chat's been popping a bit. Brightside, is there anything you want to talk about specifically? But then we can like kind of shift over and take a couple questions from chat.
Nah, hey, I'm good. If you guys good, I feel like we touched on a lot of shit. You guys asked about some pretty good questions about Silent Sonata as well too. So, I mean, that's what I've been focused on the last month, was kind of revamping it, and it was my first game, so I just kind of wanted to go back and fix anything I could with like collisions and optimization and stuff. And I wound up finding a whole bunch of shit, a whole bunch of bad code and redundancy. So it was a nice little learning experience. And I'm sure there's more in there that could be fixed. And I'm going to go in there in 2 more years and be like, holy shit, what the hell was I thinking? But
dude, we were playing it yesterday, and I was just like, I don't even know how he learned how to do all of this stuff. Like, there's just so many pieces of it that like I've still never even done in Unreal, just because we haven't really gotten to that like final polishing part of shipping a game. But like, as I look back through your YouTube and I see your music videos and stuff, like it just, the pieces are kind of falling in place. I'm like, okay, I'm understanding the path of how he got to where he got, and like it's really cool. So
nice. Yeah. Well, I'm glad, because I don't lay out like a nice little map for you guys, So if you're into music, you're not necessarily into games, or not necessarily into like podcasts or stuff. So I feel like when you do sit down and kind of indulge in something that I've created or something, it's like, it feels nice to be validated in that way. Like, oh yeah, it does make sense. The progression of it does make sense. It's not just a bunch of random shit thrown at the wall,
I'm dropping some links in chat for Silent Sonata and Slice and Dice Pizza Survival. If you guys don't already have these, check it out. Support Brightside.
Please, at a minimum, go wish list if you haven't.
Yeah, it helps a lot.
It helps a lot.
Thank you guys.
No worries, Hex. Okay, so let's hop over to first question. This one's pretty easy, I think. Turning Cog wants to know, how did Brightside get so cool?
I think it's just because I live in Boston. It's just naturally cold up here.
Sushi wants to know, do you have a dark side?
Dark side movement.
Yep.
I thought that was serious a second. Then I was like, oh, wait, bright side, dark side. Okay. I was like, shit. Oh, man.
That would be your techno alias, probably, huh?
The dark side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nah, I mean, maybe just because everyone's like, remix Mr. Brightside. So I don't think there's a dark side song or dark side of the moon, right? Damn. Fuck.
Yep. To that point, there's a YouTube channel called Brightsidemovement. There's a YouTube channel called Brightside. What's the difference?
Both of mine.
I believe they're both yours. Yeah. Absolutely.
Oh, okay. Maybe one's just older. I think Brightsidemovement.
Okay.
You know what? I think the original Brightside one probably was called something else, because I was cycling through a couple names in the beginning.
Yep.
So maybe the URL is like Bad Robot Base or something. Maybe that will give us a.
Okay, so one is at Brightsidemovement, one is at Brightside Base.
One is at Brightside Base. Oh, okay, yeah. So it's probably in between a couple of
Brightside
like,
Base. Brightside Base has all the meet and greet, has a lot of the videos I was playing. And then the other one is like Brightside Full Moon Mix, the Buffalo song. It looks like it's older.
Oh, yeah. That's like the first 2 songs I ever fucking released. Brightsidemovement. Wow, I should use this one. It has my tag and everything. What the hell?
Yeah, for real. There you go.
Why am I using Brightside Base?
Yeah.
Damn. All right. Well, hey, good to know. I think I just literally forgot that this was around, maybe.
You made too much art,
I was going digging a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's like playlists on here that have Bauer. So I know this is old. This is 13 years ago the song was released.
That's awesome, man.
There's a video of
you've been doing this for a long time.
Like, yeah, there's cool shit.
Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Okay, let's throw another one out there. Darling Sugary's got a bunch of questions for you, which I think are really good. These ones will be a little harder. What are your next goals, or what are your goals for the next 5 years?
Honestly, I make some money, dude. We need some money, you know? I'm cool with art. I'm cool with producing everything I produce, but right now we need to focus on selling these games and stuff, you know? So I think Silent Sonata, Slice and Dice has got to come out of early access and then nothing but marketing. Because if I
Yeah.
start another game, I'm gonna be like, oh no, this is the game that's gonna make me all the money, you know? And it's just the cycle continues. So like the marketing needs to be done for these games. So I'm not gonna spend 5 years doing it, but
Right.
yeah, definitely a good majority of time I think needs to be actually talked about these stuff and you know, just re-promoting stuff that's been out for a little bit that I just kind of let slip on the
You have
wayside,
ideas
you
of how
know.
you're gonna do it?
I want more music videos. That's definitely it. More fucking you know, tours in general, shows and stuff. Like I really let that kind of go
Yeah.
over the last little bit, and I just feel like need to make the presence known, you know. So I don't know if I got to call in some of the favors from some of the people we just saw on that beat and greet,
You
but
should, man. You should.
Yeah.
And next time you book a gig and you're playing a show, you should have I don't know what you're doing, but you could definitely use like Slice and Dice and Silent Sonata as like your visuals in the background and like
oh
have your
yeah,
shit up there fucking showing your stuff with the Steam page links and all that or a
yeah,
QR code or something. And then you can start pushing your games, you know?
yeah,
Because you have an audience in music, right? So like um I think as you know, you were saying I got to make more games, I got to do this other stuff. You got to focus on marketing. As a burgeoning game dev, you know, like you're newer at this. There's always kind of this attitude of like you got to put out your first 5 games because they're going to be bad. I don't think your first 2 games are bad. It's you've got a lot of vision in Silent Sonata. You've got some really fun gameplay in Slice and Dice. So I imagine that you're gonna find the third game will have this really like cohesive mix of both things. So just get those games out, you know, focus on some simple stuff, get a nice catalog going. You're continuing to build your audience. I mean, you know, doing this is marketing. You know, sorry to shatter the fourth wall for you guys, but this is definitely some marketing. Like he's on here talking about his stuff, you know, it's cool. So I guess I can hop over to another question. Darlin Sugary wants to know, do you have ideas for your next game? I know you just kind of touched on that, so it's okay if you don't really have answers yet, but
yeah. I kind of have. I've been making a bunch of different, you know, notes of ideas and stuff, but I think a best case scenario is like I kind of have a full idea for a game first, and then I start working on it because I feel like that's kind of what
that's good.
yeah, that's what gave me a little scope creep and everything in the last couple times was starting a game, not having a clear endpoint, and then, you know, kind of just boom, boom, and this needs to be added, and this needs to be added to make this for this to make sense. So it kind of makes a bigger web than I would like, and I would like. I know I talked about Welcome to the Game a bunch here, but the third one has a demo and it's got like 2 mechanics in it and like 2 killers, 2 things that you got to worry about. And I feel like something with that kind of scope would be good. You know, with 1 room, like maybe kind of like 2 or 3 mechanics and just keep it simple, you know, maybe 2 or 3 months of development. And I really think that like this kind of hacking gameplay could translate well to like an audio or beat making / kind of hacking thing, you
Ooh,
know. I could
okay.
kind of reface them to where
That's
they're
cool.
like, you got to EQ out something to like hear something right or hear a key right or something, you know, like
That's sick.
I haven't quite pinpointed 100% of what I would like for the mini games to be, but that's where my head's at right now. And it could tie into the Silent Sonata universe because that's like musical
Yeah.
and you know has lore and everything like that. So maybe it could be like a cult that has something to do with Dantalion that's like hunting you or something like that, and that's like the antagonist. But I haven't quite 100% thought of a game just because I want to maybe have a through line and finish it because I don't want to get caught in a fucking 7 to 1 year
Yeah,
development
yeah.
cycle again.
It's really easy to do that. That's one of the things with games. You can work on a game forever, like literally
Yeah.
forever. And you got to know when it's the right time to set it down and move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
And you only learn that by making a bunch of stuff. You know, every project, like Tony was saying, if you look at the difference between Silent Sonata and Slice and Dice, you can tell that there's like growth in understanding the tool set and all that kind of other stuff. Like you've avoided problems you ran into in Silent Sonata. You find some new ones in Slice and Dice, and the third game is going to have a nice mix of all the lessons you've learned over time.
Definitely.
So I think this next question kind of fits well with some of the things we talked about, because we were talking about like, playing shows and making music, making games. Do you have plans for new music? Are you working on some things that you want to like throw out there? You got anything cooking in the back burners or what?
I mean, I do have Slice and Dice's OST. The soundtrack for that needs to come out as well. So there's about like, I think between me and the co-producer of it, who I worked with somebody on this one, one of our, frequents at the channel, his name's Elevate.
Nice.
Yeah, he's got about 8 tracks on it. I think I have 8 to 10 tracks on it as well too. So that needs mastering. But they're pretty much ready. And yeah, I mean, we do the beat challenge, which is 3 rounds every week. And I've been doing that for like 5 years. So I would like to go back and just go and see all these projects and just kind of compile a nice unreleased playlist and see where we're at. Cause I have no idea how deep that rabbit hole of just potential ideas go. And I know I could go back and get so many, just hit the ground running instead of like, you use something that's already halfway done instead of creating another new thing and another new thing. Cause there's probably hundreds of project files over the last 3 or 4 years that I've been neglecting to finish the Silent Sonata OST, finish Silent Sonata, so music is definitely taking a back burner, but I also feel like the workload that game development is put on is going to make music development a lot easier. I could go in and be like, all right, I only need 2 hours instead of spending 8 hours on fucking EQs and, it's like,
messing around with it too much,
Yeah. That used to be the case. I would be here to,
just to sleep in the chair. Yeah. So I got to read through. There's a couple more questions. So I think this next one might be a little hard to answer. We touched on it briefly, but how do you balance art versus money? When do you put all the stops in and work on something 7/10 instead of 10/10 and finish it all the way?
When do you pull the stops and work with something 7/10? What does that mean? Like, not complete, or like, or putting out something that you're not, is not 100%.
I think it's like, when do you know this is good enough? Because you can really work on something forever. I can touch on that a little bit through my experience, but the best way that I've found is through playtesting, Gil. 7 out of 10. Not such a good idea, but something to work with. Oh, I see. So you're probably saying, like, if you have an idea that's 7 out of 10 instead of 10 out of 10, I think putting in stops that early is probably not a good idea. You want to let something grow a bit before you decide. So in my experience, it's always through playtest. I'm very skeptical of my own work. I'm usually like, I don't think this is fun, but it's really hard to know that when you're in there looking at the thing. You've no idea what the fuck you've made. So you need to have people playing it. And then when you start seeing reactions that you don't expect, that's probably when it's good enough. You can always go farther and, touch up little bits and really polish every little piece to pure refinement. But if you're working on a project by yourself or with a very small team, you don't necessarily have the resources to do that. So that can be really difficult. So for me, it's usually as I'm, watching playtest feedback. And when I do that, the way I do it is I just listen. I let people talk. I let people say things. If they're like, how do I do this? I just let them struggle with it. But I keep taking mental notes of like, why are they struggling with this? I'm watching the actions they're taking, seeing what their behaviors are. And so if they're stuck in a spot, I know I need to fix that. I need to figure out what was making them think to do this one thing. And then I fix that piece so that they don't think to do that thing. They think something else. But yeah, go ahead. What's your answer for that?
No, I feel the same way. Playtesting, like yesterday, I was playtesting Warka's game, and I know he was getting a lot of reactions that he was probably like cringing over, like, oh, that's not supposed to happen, or oh, it's going to be easier when the next update happens. Like, I know that feeling. It's terrible. You're like, I'm working on it right now. But that's the best way to get it. And also he was like, I know this is probably infuriating for you, but this is amazing to watch, and this is kind of entertaining. So I think he got a viewer's point of view. And I think that's important as well, too, to kind of put yourself in a viewer's point of view, see if it's fun to watch, see if it's fun to like engage with. But yeah, like Vince said, I think another person's perspective is super important, even with music, because I see you asking about music with the same problem. same thing. Like, I guess you could have a vertical slice for music, right? It's a work in progress, you call it, a WIP. And you go and you just show somebody, and if they have a reaction, or if they start talking in the middle of it, then it's not good. You know what I mean? Like, there's certain telltales that I think you'll get used to in what is like going to be a banger and what's not going to be a banger. Like my biggest song, Hit the Fan, in my head, it came out so quick. I hardly remember working on the song, but I remember this one specific instance of our friend came over and my girl was like, Eric, show Mike what you're working on. And it was like 3 lines of MIDI note. And I'm like, all right, I guess. And I showed them and they're like, yeah, that's fire. Right. And I still remember that to this day more than creating the song. So I was getting positive affirmations during the production process. And I mean, I guess you could, take that in or not, but I feel like it's a good way to test if something's going to go over well. Because if somebody's like talking while you're showing them a song, it's probably not the most enticing of songs. Maybe you either need to lock it in or work on it more, or it just doesn't grasp them. So I think whether it be a vertical slice for a game and a small little demo, or a work in progress with like people who you're close and trust their ears, and just kind of test it that way.
I think you nailed it with that point. That's some of the most devastating feedback you can possibly get, is not someone telling you what they think you should do, but if they just check the fuck out while they're like playing your thing, or like, or trying to engage with it, you're just like, oh, how did I miss? Like, why are they not interested? What the fuck? Like, that's the worst.
And it's soul shattering, but that's definitely why you kind of do it. Maybe you get better at creating a vertical slice. You get better at creating the 15 seconds that people hear on TikTok, because that is going to be the hook, right? So like, I mean, that does kind of degrade art a little bit, because you're putting it into like a really like a small little compartmentalized thing. But as tastemakers, like I think it's important to kind of feel that out. And if you don't trust it, I mean, if you want to listen to your heart, hey, feel free, because I think the rule in film is you do one for them and one for me. You do one for the Academy and then you one for yourself. You could do a big fucking superhero film, and then you do an artsy film after to fulfill that little like artistic thing that you need to do, as an artist.
And when I was telling you guys, in chat, especially when I'm saying that's like the soul crushing thing, don't edit that feedback. Do like react naturally, because that's real. Like, that's so valuable to know that you've made something that isn't resonating by seeing a reaction of someone like not being interested, or like being distracted, being able to be distracted by something else. It's very valuable. You need that. It's true. And that's the hardest part about like watching people consume your art, is trying to get those real reactions out of them. A lot of people try to placate the artist and like try to be really nice and like, not be honest. I'm not saying like be a dick and be like, hey, this was bad, this is shit, and point out bugs. Like I almost don't look for bugs, especially. I really don't. I don't want people to tell me about bugs when they're playtesting something. I want people to just be like, oh shit, what was that? Do I go left or right? And I don't answer. I'm not going to answer that, because I want them to make a choice to go left or right. But I know I'm logging that note. They went, do I go left or right? And I'm like, did I want them to ask that question, or did I want them to just know, go left, don't go right? So that's how I absorb that feedback. Let's see. Specky Bum said, I saw Brightside, I follow. Hell yeah.
What's up, Specky Bum?
Adder said, nailed it. One for you, one for them. The money. Darlin likes that. Such a great way to look at it. When people are asking me, when are you going to implement X? I know they are invested. Yeah, that's a really good sign too. Yeah. And that's another question that you don't answer. You just go like, oh, eventually something like blah, blah, blah. But they're excited about the thing. They're really into it. One of the weirdest moments for me was, I remember playing in a playtest for 0 Hour during the Trevor moments that were like somewhat contentious. There's a big robot that chases you around and just instant kills you. If it hits you, you're in a maze trapped with it. And I remember there was a playtester who's like, man, what the fuck? They were like going crazy. They were like freaking out and yelling about it. And I was like, would you think this is better without it? And the dude like turns and looks at me with shock and goes, why the fuck would you ever get rid of this? And I was like, I won't. I just wanted to know why, like you seemed upset. And he goes, no, I love this. Don't get rid of this, please. And I was like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
But it's hard to tell, because like dude was yelling. He was upset. but he loved it. So
No, I
it's
mean, sometimes
tricky.
frustration is what we're after too. Like, I don't know. I mean, the thing I was playing yesterday, I mentioned Worka's game. Like, it had rough around the edges, and I was like, I'm gonna fucking do it. You know what I mean? I'm like, I'm gonna show you. You know, it's just something inside me that it gets you. Even if something's hard, I kind of like a challenge too. So not everything needs to be nerfed to the masses as well too. So I don't know. Like, you know, he was saying, oh, maybe I should change this. Maybe I should change this. I was like, I mean, I'm still gonna fucking go on and try to fucking brute force it anyway, just because I'm built like that. You know what I mean? We've built 2 games now. We've shipped 2 games. Like, that last 30% of that game is all just punching myself in the head of like, why isn't this working, or why won't this like stay 100%? It's only working 30% of the time. That's not acceptable. You know, like, you could get things working, but to get them perf to where they're fucking ready to ship and stuff, and you feel confident enough selling something, and when somebody tells you they buy it, you're not like, oh my god, I'm sorry you wasted the money. Like, that's a tough thing to get over as well too. Like,
Gil was asking, did you just describe someone getting triggered by dying in a Souls-like? The thing I was speaking of was specifically 0 Hour in Destiny. I made some missions in Destiny, and there were some very challenging, like, the challenge to invested players was a point of making those missions. So I made things hard. By contrast, so I was talking about the Trevor section of this level, and the you know, I was worried that players, like, this was a hot spot for me. I was like, we might have to cut this whole feature, just chop it out, never ship it. And so I was getting that feedback. Contrastingly, I got internal feedback going into a playtest with like directors and shit. And one of the design directors was at a very early part that everyone liked and that everyone was having a good time with, and like the player playtests. And this dude could not figure the shit out. And he goes, fuck this mission fucking sucks, and throws the controller down. And like, one of my leads was like, dude, the designer's in the room. And he goes, I don't give a fuck, this is garbage. And stands up and walks out of the room. And you know, this was Lars Bakken, who was nice to me. He comes over and he's like, dude, I'm so sorry. And I was like, nah, I don't give a shit. I was like, I know he doesn't play the game, this isn't for him. And he goes, really? And I was like, yeah. I was like, I do not care what that dude had to say. And he's like, you know who that is, right? I'm like, yeah, he's a design director. I do not fucking care, man. I know he doesn't play the game. He's not in it. Like, this isn't for him. So I don't give a shit.
yeah, sometimes that's how it is, man. Like, you gotta, like, I mean, there were some things with testing Silent Sonata. Maybe, you know, I could have been a little more ready for too, but you know, there were some things I definitely stayed firm on. You know, I was like, all right, nah, that's the way it's supposed to be. If people were like, why is there platforming in a horror game? I'm like, then I just released a trailer that said platforming elements. You know, I gave you a heads up instead. I was like, you can't fucking jump. Like, what's the problem here? Like, what's wrong? It's jumping from one thing to another. That's a problem all of a sudden. Like, I wasn't gonna change it because of that, but I did take it into consideration. I'm like, fuck, man, platforming in a horror, you know.
Yeah, you gotta let that shit go sometimes, to just stick to your like artistic vision and like what you want to make. I mean, there's plenty of feedback that I've gotten that I ignored, not just this director guy. You know, there was another push that came to me from an art lead that I was working with on these things, and he kept telling me, he's like, dude, this is too hard. You need to make an easy version. And I was like, absolutely not. And then he got the same guy, Lars, and he was like talking to him, and he's like, dude, Lars is a really good player. Like, maybe Lars will convince you. And I'm chatting with Lars, and I was like, hey, respectfully, Lars, you are a good player. I've seen what you can do in the game. And I was like, but if you can't get past this and it's too frustrating, it may not be for you. And he goes, all right, that's fair. That's fair. I can agree with that. And I was like, shut the fuck up, Rob. it was great.
Nice.
So yeah, I don't know. I mean, in these interactions I'm talking about are like, these are gatekeepers. These are people who are not going to advance my career unless I do what they say.
Yeah.
But I know after that work went out, people fucking loved that shit. They loved it. They were like, at a studio of, you know, 500 something people, we had all hands meetings where my work was like featured up on a fucking theater screen with like a montage of content creators reacting to all this stuff. And I'm just like, that's a wild feeling. Imagine if I had listened to any of these dipshits that told me to cut this stuff. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So,
to make some cookie cutter experience. Like,
yep. To account for the broad audience that they thought was going to come play this game and do this mission. I'm like, no, dude, like, you guys think that the most popular game mode is patrol. And that's not why anyone's playing this game. You think it's popular because you have these metrics that show a certain percentage of the player base, a larger chunk than other things, is playing patrol mode. But you're not drawing the connection here because you don't play the game. The reason they're doing that is because you made bounties for engagement that force people to go play patrol mode. That's why they're doing it. That's not what they want to do. If you're playing the game every day with people on the internet, you know everyone fucking hates patrol mode. They don't want to go do the bounties. They just do it because they have to. So I don't know. Those are kind of my thoughts on it. Most popular must be a fishing mini game. Yeah, exactly. Yep. I'm pretty sure they added that shit to Destiny too. There's a fishing mini game.
No way.
Yeah, dude. It's the game is. I'm really glad I stopped playing it. It's so weird now. They did a Star Wars crossover, and you can get like lightsabers and shit. And I'm like, what the fuck is this? It doesn't make any sense. So it's like
Fortnite kind of thing.
Yeah, dude. It's fried. It's over for that.
The Cardi B skin win.
Yeah. Okay, chat, you guys got any more questions you want us to touch on? We could just start yapping about random conspiracy theory shit, or Tony, if you had like technical things you wanted to talk to Brightside about.
I want to know if you still DJ with an APC 40.
Yeah, I'm on an APC MK2 though, so I'm on the second version.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like somebody actually from my chat donated that when I was DJing in stream, and my fucking APC, I guess it was so old and like dusty, it wouldn't work sometimes. And then next thing you know, I fucking woke up and there was an APC MK2 here, and I've been using that ever since.
I got mine back there. I bought it on eBay for like $60, but
nice.
I fuck with it sometimes.
Hey, I was using it to like change the scenes and everything as well too, you know, so you could.
I definitely thought about doing that, and having volume sliders and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, just again, have never gotten around to doing anything too fancy with OBS like that. But I like fucking around in session mode in Ableton with that thing. It's fun. So
yeah, no, I think those things are awesome. The plug and play is crazy, and nobody knows what the fuck I'm doing. Every time I pull up, there's like other DJs that are like, "What are you using? What do you do? You're doing this on Ableton?" I'm like, "Yeah, buddy,
So like, just to get nerdy about it real quick, are you using the like, I don't know? To me, it was always called like the Ill Gates template back in the day, which is like, I don't know, you got the red box and like it's like 4 tracks, and I don't know, is that what you're using?
I made my own, but his was the big inspiration. I knew a lot of people who used his, and I liked his because his turned the green knobs into audio. Like,
correct. Yes.
Yeah, it was so cool to look at that, and you could see. Like, I had a couple friends that did that. I'm sure actually I could probably go back and do that right now since with this coding knowledge, But
yeah, of course.
It's like his was the inspiration. Even his what he called them, I think he called them like quick clips or something like that. The way he saved his files, his audio files, and I've been using that since. But yeah, he was the OG of like the pioneer of teaching people what the fuck to do before before this abundance of stuff came out. He was that one guy.
Yeah, 100. And I mean, him and Bass Nectar worked very closely together at the time, and so I think a lot of those OG Bass Nectar performances that were really cool, that were very Ableton based, kind of I think used a lot of that same philosophy. So that's cool. I've definitely fucked around a little bit trying to get Ableton basically to behave like an APC 40, and so like I've got Unreal to behave like an APC 40 in Ableton, so I can hook like an Unreal project up to it and get the red box to appear and move it around and stuff. It's something I'll bring back someday, but yeah.
What do you control with the Unreal? Like, what you could like hook up any kind of any kind of knob, or what would?
Yeah, the idea was that like Unreal was gonna emulate being like a MIDI controller or something, and then at the time it was gonna be in VR. I was gonna make like a big like 3D room size like APC 40 basically, and then be able to control Ableton with that.
Oh shit!
I don't know. I have all the pieces. I've never really done anything with it, but that's one of those like miracle maker project things that we've talked about.
Yeah, no, that's pretty sick. Like that's definitely the connectability is crazy about Ableton too. Like they, I remember when I performed at Webster Hall one time, and I decided I was like, I'm gonna do visuals for my set this time, and I had Resolume hooked up through Ableton, and I was able to kind of like cue the clips up so the audio and the visual would come up.
You made your own visual show and performed it live. That's crazy.
One time. Damn, just for one time.
Yeah.
That's
crazy. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm glad your laptop didn't crash or anything.
Oh, dude, I was so lucky. And you know what? I didn't pay for the Resolume, so it said Resolume trial on it on the fucking big Webster Hall.
Amazing.
Resolume trial. Resolume trial.
Amazing. That's so good. I saw Porter one time, and his Worlds show was all Ableton, and it was like that. It was like every track would like launch a different video clip, and it was all integrated. His laptop crashed in the middle, and I was just really impressed by his ability to like reboot his laptop, get the project running, and start the show back up from where it had crashed within like 15 seconds.
Wow.
Like
that
on
a you know, not the glazed base nectar,
Yeah.
but on that note, he had like a scene because he had 2 laptops, and I remember standing at the soundstage one time, and they could see his laptops, right?
Yep.
And there was a fucking song going on, and I just happened to be looking, and the song cut out.
Yep.
And I see
And they
one of the
just
screens
crank
go
it over
black.
to the other one, and it just keeps going.
And he kept going, and he just
the show is playing 2 times at all times. It's crazy. Yes.
Yeah, it's dude. He didn't miss a beat. He literally was hopping. It cut off. The sound cut off. He just at the.
I've seen him talk about that, and he's got to be one of the only ones that goes this hard. But like, they image 2 MacBooks to be fucking identical, and then they're like running exactly the same Ableton set. They're like networked together and time coded, so that if one crashes, they just like flip a switch, and everything just keeps coming out of the other one, and he just keeps going, and he doesn't even know what happened.
I was mind blown by that. I was
so
like,
crazy.
Because
it'd be down for like 5 minutes if
dude. Yeah, for real.
Like, the show would just be over.
I have a 2012 MacBook. That would be like fucking 16 minutes.
That's what I'm saying. It's crazy. I went to see Chris Lorenzo the other night, and we ended up sitting kind of right behind the soundboard. And they have software now where they can see the CDJs in the soundboard. It's like the screens on the CDJs are all on a monitor on the soundboards, and so they can see all the tracks that are playing, kind of see like what's going to happen and where the drop is, so that they know where to do the lights and stuff.
Wow,
very cool. Yeah.
Damn. Yeah. See, that's another thing I would really like to do is like I haven't thought about it too much, but like live shows and interactability with like the crowd, being able to control certain things like maybe light color or light frequency. Maybe they scan a QR code that comes up, and they have like a little remote that they can maybe do something. And I feel like
you're speaking our language for sure.
Yeah,
this is the type of shit we've been talking about for a long time. So
I think that's like a next level. You're not going to get people off their phones. Everyone's complaining, oh, look, not a phone in sight, or look at how many phones there are. You're not going to get people off. So what if you could kind of like enhance their experience?
Yeah, good idea.
100%.
By doing something like that.
Have you ever thought about doing like DJ streams?
I used to do them every Sunday, and you know, we did pretty good on them, but you know, it got to be it felt like I was saturating the market for my live shows, but now, you know, I don't have many live shows too. So it was like,
I see what you mean.
Yeah. Like I felt like me performing every Sunday for free online would hinder
people come out. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. But if I do them once in a while, that's definitely not the case. I think it actually will help. But yeah, that's what I started to believe, at least, was like, I feel like I'm not getting many bookings because they could just show up to Sunday and they know where I'm at, you know? Like,
yeah. And, you know, we always wanted to do like all this like digital performance stuff that we've talked about. And I don't know, I guess the idea was like bring other people in for like little one-offs and stuff. So it doesn't end up being like that, but just kind of like, I don't know.
I want to throw this out there.
More interesting than watching.
I want to throw this out there, Tony. You're getting glazed for the Kirkland signature shirt. Chat loved it. They said it goes hard.
This is a really nice fucking shirt too, I will say. Very high quality.
And I want to, so this is sort of a hard pivot away from music. I want to throw this out there. Dunkelgrau asked a question a little bit ago about feedback. We were talking about that for a minute. The question was, is there a good way to tell when it's valuable feedback and worth considering? Because sometimes it could also be arrogance to not want to change stuff. Yes, the crazy part about that is it's like a vibes thing, at least for me. I have a thing, like a vision in my head for what I'm making. And if I keep those pillars correct, and I know like this is exactly the thing I'm making, and then someone's like, oh, you should put a fishing mini game in here, right? And I'm like, but I don't want that. I don't want the players to like calm down and go fishing and just chill in a spot for a minute. Like that's not the thing. By contrast, I've also seen a lot of designers who have this idea in their head, and they're like, I've really always wanted to build a feature like this and put it in a game. They're not necessarily asking the question of, does this even belong in this game? And I think that's where the arrogance line is. And I think about stuff like Tarkov. There's a lot of community feedback that like, for example, there's a popular content creator that does Tarkov, and they were like, I really wish there were no multiple hitboxes on the head for the player character. If you put a helmet on, it should block all the bullets regardless of where you get hit. It's just a single hitbox. I think that would actually take away from the game, and I don't think that's good feedback. There's a very specific vision for that game, and it's like ultra realism, a lot of chaos in certain ways. So if you do that, you're simplifying the game and you're taking away from the magic of what makes the game really good, just to appease a certain kind of player who's like, I don't like that I can get shot head jaws and my helmet only protects like head top, head ears, head nape, right? Like that's kind of the line, I think. So really understanding the thing that you're making is the most important piece, and you really only get that by playtesting a lot, watching other people play your game. That's where you get that, and then you understand what you've made. So that's where I see the line between arrogance and, you know, making a good design choice.
Yeah.
Brightside, I know you're newer at this. I don't know if you have any insight on that too, but you know, if you want to throw that out there, like, what's your opinion on that?
If the feedback is coming from Turning Cog, then probably disregard it, because Turning Cog comes in the stream, you know, and he'll just be like, when is he'll just say the most random stuff. When is this coming to the game? I'm like, I have no, you know, I wasn't going to do a mail order bride system, but you know, now that you mention it, you know what I mean? He always comes in and will say the most random thing, like, when is this coming? And I'm like, I don't, you know, I think if like what you're saying is true though. If you know where the game needs to be, you could take it, oh, add this item, add this, and that's like makes sense. But if they're telling you to add a whole new mechanic or something, then you kind of will disregard it. But I think if it's something that actually is like a good idea, or make an unclogged toilet system or some shit, like it actually correlates to things and it fires the synopsis in your head, then yeah. But if it doesn't automatically hit, then maybe just write it down and put it on the side and never get to it again. But you know, like, it's always good to keep them thoughts, you know, but I think a lot of disregard does have to happen with like random feedback like that.
Yeah, and you know, admittedly, I've gotten a ton of feedback that I just completely ignore because I know what I want to make at the beginning. That's kind of like a strength I have as a designer is like a vision. I know the thing, I know what it is that I'm making. So one of the smoothest, you know, features I made in Destiny was the Whisper mission, and making that, I knew what it was going to be from the jump. I knew what we were making the whole time. And so even when we had like play tests in the studio before the thing was going to launch, I had all these directors and like, you know, franchise leads and shit come into the play test, and they were just loving it. They had a great time. And I was like, perfect. You know, I had a bunch of feedback from play testers that were like, I think this is going to be too hard. I don't think this is going to work for players. And I was like, yeah, but can you beat it? And they're like, if I play it a bunch. And I'm like, that's the point. You're not supposed to beat it on the first try. This is something that you train and learn on. And then I would tell them, because this is internal feedback, so it's very different. You can have a candid conversation with someone because they're fellow developers, right? So I would be like, guys, the reason why I chose a 20-minute timer to end the activity is because I don't want you to spend 40 minutes in here and fail, because that feels really fucking bad. And this is funny, but I use League of Legends games as like a benchmark there. When you're playing League of Legends, you often will know that you're going to lose a fucking game in the first 10, 15 minutes, but you got to stay in there for another 30 minutes, depending on how it goes. And I'm like, that just feels awful. And then I go, well, I burned an hour on one fucking game and I wanted to get the hell out of here and just run the next one. So I was like, does 20 minutes feel good? Because like 10 minutes felt a little short. So I just kind of doubled it and I just play tested a bunch. Like I played the Whisper in the studio myself and could beat it. And I was like, I'm not the best player, but if I can beat this and I've learned it and I know how it's all set up, other people can do it too. So that was sort of the direction I went into, you know, to get there. And like I was saying, I don't even remember the feedback that, you know, I got. If you're trying to make everyone happy, you're not going to be true to your vision. If you're trying to make the higher ups happy, you're not going to be true to your vision. But at the same time, you got to have good vision. If you know the fucking thing you're making and you know that it's going to be good, like, stick to it. And, you know, really just put yourself out there. That's the thing. All of this is risk. If you really like hang it all out there and you fucking fail, that's when you go back and go, how did I fuck up? And then you start realizing like, oh, this is where people hated it. That feedback was actually good. So I don't know. It's tricky, man.
Yeah. Now that's a whole nother skill, you know, that's social engineering and figuring out like if people are, you know, are they going to even play your game even when it does come out? Is this your core audience? Because you don't want to cater your game to people who are not even going to play it at the end of the day too. There's a whole lot of people who will make a lot of noise and then not show up you know, if they have to pay a couple dollars, you know, they'll be there for the play test, but they will not support it, even if their input was the forefront of your thought.
Absolutely. And Dunkel Grau says, I often read, make a game for your audience, not for yourself. And for me, it's always a vague line. I make a game that I like because then I like making the game. But leaning too much into this, there's the risk that I lose the audience, you know, completely. Yeah, that's very true. So I think I'm thinking about like a puzzle that we did that I was really frustrated with, and I didn't fucking like the puzzle at all. This was a time I listened to feedback that I didn't agree with. I was like, I'm gonna cut this fucking puzzle. This is absurd. Like, you have to go make a fucking third-party tool to figure this shit out. I'm playing a shooter. I don't want to have to like do math and fucking pull up a second screen while a timer's ticking down. This is bad. And a lot of people were like, wait, dude, this is cool. And I'm like, I don't believe you. But it made me start thinking, and I was like, how do I make this so that it's not going to be painful for a player like me, but still be there? And so the compromise I hit was every time you guessed the clue correctly, you got more time back on the timer. Yeah. And that was it. That was a moment of inspiration where I sat there and thought on this feedback I was getting, where everyone was like, no, dude, it's got to go in. Like, we don't agree with you. It's got to be there. A ton of effort's been spent on this. And I'm like, yeah, but it's way too hard. No one's going to get it. And I was like, oh, well, that's like an adjustment to the difficulty that's like tangible, that you can feel good about. And it still leans into the player experience of like, well, now you get a couple extra seconds. So now you're incentivized to try solving each of these clues. I do know that there was a time where people started, as they learned that mission and got really good at it, they would do the puzzle to get extra time because the boss fight was hard for them. So instead of trying to beat the whole puzzle, they would just hit a couple of clues with like a tool that they had online, you know, to solve these things. And that gave them more time to complete the combat, which they were having a problem with. So, you know, that works out. Sometimes you do need to take some of that feedback, you know, but the trust that Brightside was talking about, where you've got, you know, people with good ears, or people that are going to be honest with you and understand your vision and like be real and tell you like, hey, this is maybe not working the way you think it is. That's useful.
And also, like Turning Cog said, I got feedback recently, and you could have your knee-jerk reaction to what is said, but then once you take a step back, you kind of realize, and I think that's important too, because a lot of people, you know, they might say things and it comes off as like kind of aggressive or something, and it's not the way it's meant. But I think it's easy to take feedback as like personal too. So to not also make it personal, you know, and I think that's super important, because it could really easily, something gets said even the wrong way, you're just like, fuck you, I'm not going to listen to that, even though it's good advice. You're just like, I'm not going to listen to this fucking troll or something like that. But sometimes they might be blunt about it. It's just the way they, you know, I mean, sometimes a bad review could be an impactful one, a really good one, because you could learn the most from it.
Yeah,
it's like, I don't know. I was thinking about what Dunkel Brew said, and how like there's like a fine line between like making a game for your audience and making a game for yourself. But I don't know. I've been sitting here like going back and forth on it, because like Vince and I play a lot of games. I think we take a very, very, very analytical look at a lot of games, and we try to understand why people like them and why they're good. And I would say that we're probably a little more open-minded to some games than a lot of people would be. And so like, I say all of this because it makes me feel like the game that we want to make would be good, because we have a lot of insight into what a good game is, and we play a lot of games, and we have a lot of experience. And I think, you know, we've developed this really strong objective opinion about what a good game is. And I don't know. I feel like it's a slippery slope for sure, because you don't want to get like too far up your own ass, you know, for lack of a better word. But like you also should stick to your guns to some extent too. And like, you don't need to necessarily make something that has mass appeal. You know, I don't know. It's a fine line, as you said, but I was thinking through that, and I went through a lot of emotions over the past like 2 minutes. So
From that point of view, like, you know, when I started making music, instead of like being obsessed with the festivals and stuff, it was like super analytical. I would be like, I know that preset, I know how they did that, or I don't know how they did that. So
100%, like, dude, I know what you're talking about.
It kind of ruined the just bliss of it, you know, and kind of put it under a microscope. And like, do you guys feel that way with games? And that's why when you find a good game, you're like, that's actually fucking, this hits. And I don't care if you don't understand. This is why it actually hits.
Because to your point with the music, like you can hear somebody that just like put some massive presets and splice loops together and just like shipped it and called it a day because it kind of sounds like popular music right now. And then you'll find some stuff that is really creative and really interesting. And it's just so obvious when like the passion is there, or they're just doing it because like they want to play the main stage of the festival or something, or like their management company decided that was the right move. So
I think my answer to that, Brightside, is probably like illustrated well through back at the beginning of the stream. We were talking about Ed McMillan making, Super Meat Boy and Binding of Isaac and just making Mugenics. I recognize that Ed McMillan is good at making video games, but I do not like his shit. Like the themes in Binding of Isaac are super weird to me, and I don't like that part of it. So I knew that Mugenics is like doing really well, and I wanted to go check it out. So the first thing I did is start watching some streams, starting with his what he did was he did his own promo where he just live streamed and showed gameplay, and he like skipped the tutorial and he's like, here's how these systems work, here's what I'm gonna do. And then I was like, fuck, I don't want to buy this game, I don't want to play it because it's weird and gross to me. But this dude was cooking with the gameplay system.
This is the same conversation we had around Balatro.
It
was just like, I don't like Balatro, I don't want to play it. It annoys me that it exists, and like we both have played a fuck ton of Balatro.
Yep,
like it happened. So,
and that's so for me, Donko Grau said sorry for the emotional question, but yeah, for me that's like a part of it. I got to go in there and like really see what this other person did, even though I may personally not
Duck Off was the same thing. We had to just like say like we should probably try Duck Off, and we both really liked it.
Gotta check it out. Gotta see what's up. And a lot of the time I'll play a game. So I've said this before. I do not like Bethesda games. I do not like Fallout. I've given them a chance. I do not like them still. But there are these other games that I have played, like Space Warlord Alien Baby Trading Simulator, and I was bro, you don't know about this. This is crazy. This shit is crazy. So I looked at it and I was like,
to say that one,
I was like, this is fucking stupid, and this is gonna be dumb. And then I watched a couple people playing it and I was like, there might be some fire here. Bought it, and I've had a great time with it. So what you're doing here is it's like day trading simulator, and you're betting on the life of an alien baby and the events that it goes through, and you're making money off of that baby's like successes and
like
failures.
Poly Market style, kind of, right?
Yeah, very much so. Yeah.
Okay, so we're into conspiracy games now, huh?
Yeah, you're trading on the dips and the all that shit. Like you can short the baby when it goes through like a traumatic life event. You just make hella money off of that. It's crazy.
Wow, that is so dark, but on the nose.
Yeah, I was looking at this game going like
280. I'm surprised it's not bigger than this, because Northern Lion's been playing it.
Yeah, this is a very niche game. This is the number 2 game. So there's Space Warlord,
Organ Trading Simulator.
Yep. So it's the first one you were trading like on the alien heart market or alien brain market or lungs, like shit like that. So this is basically just a day trading stock market sim. With some wacky narrative conceit over the top of it.
I love the look, honestly. I love this like kind of whatever this is. I don't even know what you call it.
I thought at first, I was like, this is just a gambling thing. That's all it is. But it's not. You can start predicting events and like learning which, alien babies like do well, or like what those events mean in their lives. And so you can learn stuff and use that knowledge that, it doesn't work like that way in real life. The other thing is when an event occurs, there's a brief pause that's like a half second or a second. So you can trade during that pause. So there's like a reaction time thing to it as well. So it is a game. I didn't think it was a game at first, but as soon as I started seeing those things, I was like, this is very clever. And it's inspiring. It makes me start thinking about like different ways to make a game based off of some like reality shit that might be just dangerous to human behavior. Like this could encourage someone. I felt like my initial reaction was, someone's going to get really good at this game and then get a Robinhood account and fucking lose their house. Like I literally typed that to Tony. I was like, this is crazy to me. But then
I've always tried to think about the fact that like, as a society, can we figure out a way to like apply these like dopamine button things to like, doing
healthy behavior?
Like healthy things, like going to bed early and like, brushing your teeth 3 times a day and like eating good food and, I don't know, doing charity work. Who knows?
Yeah,
Nobody's figured that one out yet.
No, I mean, yeah, you got to gamify everything, I guess. You know what I mean? You just got to fucking have an RPG.
It works. Like, yeah.
A little experience system once we get. I don't know how we're gonna implement that, maybe with VR or something, but you know.
Yeah.
Hey, Pryor, thank you for the follow. Pryor said, I thought you said healthy things, Tony. Talk about brushing your teeth and like going to bed early. Yeah, those are good things for you, Pryor. But yeah, I think, you know, in a roundabout, very abstract way, that's another piece of what I'm saying to like know what good feedback is like when you play someone else's game that you didn't think would be for you, but you start to see the magic and why it works, you start to understand the things that click, and then you put your mind in a certain way. I've talked about it before on stream. There's a book by Jesse Schell called The Art of Game Design, a Book of Lenses. That is what that is. You're changing your perspective to try to see what is appealing to someone else and putting your personal biases and opinions aside for what you like, just to see why this could possibly work for someone else, why someone else might enjoy this thing. That makes you a better designer overall. And you start to incorporate different elements of like, oh, I know these kind of people like this thing. You know, there might be a good fit for a fishing mini game in your game if you know that the rest of the game sort of supports that like low key play style where you're just fishing, right? Like that could work really well. Sushi says, got back from a dog walk. How's everyone doing? We're chilling, bro. I got to pee, but we're doing an interview, so I'm not going to do that.
You got like 10 more minutes.
We'll let the kidneys suffer. Pineapple says about to go to the gym, getting those reps in. Hell yeah, Pineapple.
Very nice.
Hey man, I don't want to be responsible for anybody's kidney stones or anything. Too. If you need to go pee, bro, you can do whatever we got to do, man.
No, you're good. I'll survive. I haven't had one in like 6 years, so I'm good.
Oh, okay. I thought that was a monster like, you're just sipping on.
Yeah, they say when you get one, you're gonna get. Yeah, dude. No, they say when you get one, you're gonna get like another one within a year, and I've only had one ever, so.
Yeah. I got like 2 in a row, and then I got my shit together and never got one again. But that was like 10 years ago now.
Wow. Yeah, exactly. Stay hydrated, guys.
Just fucking drink water, guys. That's all you got to do.
Brightside chugs his bottle real quick.
I don't have much left, dude. I just got coffee. I think this is gonna hurt me.
But yeah, so I think like bringing it back to, you know, game design and art and all that stuff. I was listening to you guys talk about like music and how like that resonates and how you get that feedback. That's totally foreign to me. Like I don't understand any of that at all. I know, Tony, you've done some live shows too, right?
Yeah, I mean, definitely nothing to the extent that Brightside has. But,
yeah,
you know, just I've dipped my toe in a little bit, and I've played a couple of shows, maybe like 200 people is the biggest one, but yeah.
Do you think that like you would probably still experience the loop of feedback, like if you mix in a track that's like not hitting and you're like, oh fuck, and then you're like, I got to do something else now?
Oh, you can feel it 100%. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like there's some energy in the room that can completely just fall off if you do the wrong thing, I feel like. And people who are skilled can bring it back, though. That's the other thing. So yeah,
definitely, that's another good way to test out if your song is going to do well as well too, is the live test. But not everybody has a chance to test it out, like your new stuff that frequently live. But yeah,
there's like the car test too.
Yeah,
like if you can drive around and just fucking bang your head to a song in the car, like that's usually a good indication that like your mix is right and you know everything. So
definitely.
That sounds so scary to me, guys. Like I have no idea what that live performance is like. The closest I do is like yapping in front of people. I've done long form interviews in front of like a live crowd and shit. And I think about like bombing an interview is probably just as terrifying. Like, if you're like bombing, a fucking live set, like I don't know. I would probably crash out.
Yeah,
it's one of those things where it's like a fine line of like somebody who's like DJing well is really cool, and somebody who's DJing poorly is extremely cringe. And like you could fall over that line real quick if you're not careful. So yeah,
definitely. And it's like I think with comedy too, it's way scarier. Like with DJing, at least you could just press a button and kind of, all right, fuck it, let Jesus
spin it back, try a different one. Like
totally. Yeah, you could you're hide behind the machine, but being that gifted with the gab is like, I feel like with that much pressure, that's when you're like so that's kind of what Silent Sonata was also about as well, a little bit like that fucking reoccurring dream that I'm sure every anybody who's had to perform in front of anybody or do any kind of thing in front of a live audience and had a dream of like going up there and not being able to speak, or the fucking computer fails or something. You know, I've had that nightmare so many times that I'm just like going up ready for Red Rocks and oh no, the computer just busted. Like, you know, like shit that I don't even use, but my mind is playing tricks on me. Like, nope, not gonna happen, kid. You know.
Or like Always Sunny, Sweet D, when she like wants to do stand-up comedy, gets up there and just like almost pukes into the mic every time. She's like in the middle of her setup and she's like, ugh. And you're like, oh my god, what is happening? Yeah, in fairness, when I was saying I did that like long form interview, I'd never done that before, and I get like pretty bad social anxiety. The thing that helped me was I rehearsed probably like 6 times. We went through every single fucking question and talking point we were gonna do. I was locked in. I was like, this is chill. So when I walked up on the stage, I definitely had a moment of panic looking at a fucking sea of 5,000 people. And then I was just like, don't look at any of them. That's going to fuck you up. And then I looked for like my friends and family and I was like, oh, that's even worse. And then I like just looked up out into the distance and it was fine. It was totally fine. And then I hit my stride and I was like, felt very natural, but it was just, holy shit, that's scary.
Yeah. And the family and friends do make it worse.
Too, it's so much worse.
I'm going to come to your show. I'm like, oh God.
You're like, please don't be where I can see you.
Yeah, I invited my mom and dad and little brother to like the big show that I DJ'd, and like even just like them like being there, I was like, this was a mistake. I feel really embarrassed right now. Like
my wife's family, you know, they
it is like nobody's gonna take this shit seriously. Are you kidding me? Like,
well, the thing that helped me is I was like, they love me, they're proud of me, they're just here to support me. They don't even know what I'm talking about. They're just smiling and proud, and that like calmed me way the fuck down.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, I looked into the distance and then I looked at like a monitor that was showing the shit up behind us on a giant screen. And then I was like, okay, now I can talk about these things. I can look over at the other people next to me and like talk to them about things. And that like slowed it way down. And by like, 10 minutes in, I was chilling and I was just, I had all those points. Yeah. I mentioned all the things that I'd rehearsed and I was good. If I went into it raw, it would have been horrible. It would have been just bad. I would have had no answers, not knowing what the fuck was going to happen. It was crazy.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think anybody, even if you're a pro, you're still going to get some pre-show nerves until you get out there and you just get into it. Cause then everything starts rolling. But that pre-show anxiety gets, every single time. Like,
you care. Like, I think if you get to a point where you're not getting it, it's because you're just like showing up for your job, and like, that's not a place I would want to be. That's
a bad thing. Yeah. You don't want to be there and just be like, I don't care anymore. That'll come through in the performance. People 100%. Will be like, this dude doesn't give a fuck.
And you have to that point, you have to admire people who are like, like touring and like playing a show every single night and don't look like it and like look like they're giving it their all. And they just did the same thing like under 24 hours ago and then drove for an entire day. Like, I don't know. Yeah. It's crazy.
No, exactly. It's definitely, it definitely is a growth. It makes you respect it too when you're in it and you're like, all right, anybody who's willing to do this kind of, they got to cut their teeth. And it's like, all right, I can respect anybody who's got the history of doing that kind of thing. So
have you done any touring like that?
Yeah, a lot. I mean, that's what I was mostly doing since 2012 to 2020.
Wow, okay.
Putting together my own tours and like bringing some people as well too, and like doing the emails and doing that. I mean, I had a booking agent for a little bit too, and they were helping. But I was the one doing the driving as well too. I'd always knock up and do
crazy. That. Okay.
Yeah, it was.
You got to get back out here. I want to come to your show so bad.
I know. Denver's got to happen this year. That's why I got to refocus on the music too, and just be consistent with the releases and shit. If you look at my socials, all I've been talking about is the games. So it's like, I got to remind people, hey, bro, the music's still here too. Cause that's definitely a main point of the life, but it's like, it needed a step back. Cause I think, now's a good time to actually say something with your music too. Like there's been fucking years and years and years of just stuff that you could kind of turn your mind off of. And I indulge in this stuff all the time when I need to turn my mind off and just listen to music. But, when it comes to like music that actually withstands the test of time, it's always the stuff that means something. So I think really now's a really good time to actually have a stance with music and be, have a voice with it instead of like this very kind of generic kind of thing that's going on right now.
Everything's really like flat and vapid, and you're just like, Where's the real shit? Who's making art that like they bled for, you know?
Yeah. Like I like a Bob Dylan type of, I was never like a fan of Bob Dylan, but like if that voice ain't fucking cut through a generation, then like where something like that is like kind of bubbling up right now, and I know I feel it too. So I definitely would like to be part of that kind of movement in music rather than this kind of homogenized, commercialized thing that electronic music has become. Because when I got into electronic music, it was for the fucking outcasts and the people who were in Jenko jeans and big pearlers of like chewing on fucking pacifiers. Like that's the weird kids, you know what I mean? Like I fuck with that shit. So it's the metal, it was somewhere in between the metal heads getting involved and that I got involved. So it's like I think it got to the Chads and everything like that too, and they're welcome, but it's got to come back to the freaks and geeks, dude. Or some kind of music, because some avenue of it has got to be a revolutionary type of fucking electronic music, because right now it's just nothing.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, I think you've talked about it a little bit, how like I want to say it was during like one of the beat offs or something, but the scene has changed and you have like tech bros and shit just fucking the vibes up, because they're there to do other things. They're not necessarily just there to enjoy the music and like be a part of the energy in the crowd, right? They're there to have their own energy imposed on other people sometimes. And yeah, I think games has a little bit of that too. It's not, it's not like bros that are in there fucking it up. It's different stuff. People have, agendas, and they want to make the art about them and their thing and not about the art itself, right? Like not understanding the medium and not understanding like why people even enjoy EDM or like video games in the first place, right?
Yeah.
So,
well, these things are being used as props, like the gamer girl thing we were talking about yesterday. Somewhere down the line, CDJs got used as props, as like, oh, look, we're cool kids, like Paris Hilton was like a kind of a version of that, like that was like, I mean, Shaq is kind of, but he's always been about the mixing and stuff, like, but he's
Shaq was a DJ like in the 80s.
Yeah, he was a DJ. Yeah, so I mean, you can't really say that about Shaq, like in a sense, but like it in a way that kind of normalized like normal people just getting behind the decks and being like, oh, we're gonna play a show. And I think that watered down that kind of stuff. So all of this stuff being used as props to kind of like infiltrate the community without actually paying your dues, it became the norm. People that cared more about their social followings became the ones that are headlining the festivals.
Yeah,
and the people who cared about the scenes are kind of like pushed to the sideline. So I mean, I think it's going to come back and heal itself sometimes, but who knows?
I'm nowhere near either of you guys as like an EDM enjoyer, but I remember the time that I was listening to it and I like discovered it, a lot of the shit was coming out of Europe, so it wasn't like it's like the weird stuff we're talking about that before 2010, like into the before 2015, like in that little range. And I remember that's that I think it's that Skrillex track where he has the sample of that person being like, you guys are technicians, no one's playing the guitar. That's the era of EDM that I remember as like, this is really fucking interesting because there's nothing else like it.
Yeah.
And people were just like, this is garbage, it'll never catch on. And now it's like too much. It's like caught on too much.
True. Yeah, absolutely. That I remember being at that I was at a Deadmau5 show and Skrillex was opening.
Yep.
And everybody in that show was like, yo, who is this?
Yeah, who the fuck is this guy?
Yeah. And like
it happened over like 2 weeks. Like
the only response was this. Everybody could just do this. That was the dubstep dance, because that's the only primal instinct you had, was just doing this in a crowd when you heard that shit. And it was like that was the first mainstream kind of like appeal of dubstep and where it started getting pushed out. But like I feel like just in general, it's become so far from what it was as a communal type of building thing that it's like, all right, it has to come back around. This isn't hip hop where, well, I guess even hip hop is losing some money in a sense.
Yeah,
dude. It's not the number one kind of thing being pushed, but yeah, I don't ever see it being like that. But peeking behind the curtains, I saw how everyone getting involved after the big boom was like, yo, we're gonna fucking gut this thing, treat it like a venture capitalist. That's where the booking agents came in and started charging so much for people who were like a little bit of buzz. And it's like, I don't really like that we're bleeding people dry like that. People who are passionate enough to throw fucking parties and put their money and time on the line, that you just want to see them as a paycheck and stuff. So
yep.
I feel like just as like a system, it kind of got real predatory, you know what I mean? So
games are like that too. That's why, you know, I bitch about the NBAs getting in there and ruining it. Those are like, you know, the business majors who are like, I look at all these charts, I look at business growth. That's what I care about. I have zero interest or passion in the medium, but I'm here to make money because it's popular now. And like, that's the shit that just ruins it. It just fucking ruins it. There's like a period of time, there's like 3 to 5 years where those dudes make a fuckload of money, but it brings a bunch of other parasites in. They start replacing people, and then you have this like group of all these guys like squeezing all the blood from the stone, and then they're gonna fuck off and go do something else. They don't care about it, and they've ruined the art form that they got invested in. So yeah, I feel that way about video games right now, especially at the AAA level. Indie's very different. You know, indie, like people are making Schedule 1 and Eugenics and like, you know, Space Warlord, Alien Baby Trading Simulator and shit. Like, you know, there's wacky stuff out there. There's real art, or Silent Sonata and Slice and Dice Pizza Survival. You know, there's people making those games, you know, and they're different and they got their own vibes, and it's cool. There's room for it. I hope that it doesn't take music, you know, where someone has to invent a new genre altogether and then begin that push to make new interesting music come out. I do feel like I feel like all music has this very flat commercial feel to it right now. Yeah, it's weird. I don't know. Do you have any opinions about like what the best emergent genre is that's doing very interesting stuff that is like good bops to just like listen to in the car?
I don't know. I kind of like Amapiano, which is like I think it's like African kind of like Afro bass kind of stuff.
Okay.
It's like house music, but like more dancey. So it's very minimal, but I don't think it's gonna like change the world or anything. I've been liking it just because it's a little bit different, and it feels like it's a very authentic because where it comes from, you know, like it seems like a place that is like just aerated, just like fucking oozing culture, you know. So there's every single song you could hear just a little bit of like that flair in it. I kind of really love taking in cultures like that as well too. So right, like, you know, for a little bit it's been the Amapiano stuff and like a couple of those artists.
Sweet. Oh, did you have a chance to listen to Sienna Rose?
Oh no, I didn't.
All right. It's okay. I just want to throw this out there. It's not real. It's all AI.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
And dude, it was like
he was telling me about it, and I was like, I like to think I could probably identify an AI song. And then you showed it to me, and I was like, within 5 seconds, I could tell you there's no shot I would have identified this as an AI song.
Wow. She ain't even fucking real, man.
If you get real analytical on the lyrics, they're very basic and very formulaic, and I think that kind of gives it away. But like the instrumentation and the singing and all of that, very legit sounding. The mix down is great. Like, I don't know, it's crazy.
Damn.
So give it a listen now, knowing that it's AI, and you'll be like,
we'll post it in the community or something so we can get wrapped up here. But
yeah, what do we have any closing notes, Brightside? You want to shout out anybody, say anything? You know, we've talked about your games a bunch and your music.
Yeah, man. I mean, thank you for you know, going over that kind of stuff. If you guys want to hit it with a wish list or grab them, you know, I'm more than open to hearing what you guys think about the games and stuff like that. You know, they're constantly being worked on. It's not kind of like stuff that I just put out there and gave up on. So I'm always down to learn and keep growing. And yeah, my channel, Brightsidemovement, on Twitch, we do a little bit of game development and music production over there. So if anybody wants to join some music production challenges, then we got challenges that we do every Thursday.
It's a good time.
Yeah, hey, and yeah, we've these guys have participated in it. Yeah,
I don't have the mental bandwidth to produce music right now, but I was getting in there for a while and I was having a good time, and you know, I keep telling myself someday I will find the time again. So
nice. I'm always just blown away by like the pure creative skill that people have.
The people that go in there are wild.
Yeah. No, they've refined their skill, their 30-minute skills too. So I mean, I also wanted to say thank you guys for you know, being a solid community. This was a dope little talk that we had here too. And yeah, definitely look forward to you guys' streams every week. Just the chit chat, and I think the normalcy of it too. You know what I mean? The schedule of it. I got a 30 watch streak today too. So we locked in here.
Hell yeah.
So yeah,
Hell
appreciate
Well,
all the good vibes.
you're one of our favorite community members, and you're one of the OGs. You know, you're one of the first people that I kind of really remember recognizing and kind of talking to about more than just surface level chat stuff, and coming through the beat off and helping you with some early technical things and stuff like that. So it's been cool, and I know we've been talking about doing this for a long time. So I'm glad that we finally managed to get it done.
Yeah, definitely, man. The next thing is the in-person meetup. That's the next thing that we got.
Yeah, man. If you ever make it to Denver, we will show you a good time. I promise you that.
No, I already know it, man.
So. What time does your stream go live today, Brightside?
Probably like 7:30, 8 o'clock. That's probably around 8 o'clock. We're gonna go live.
Okay, sweet.
Some challenges tonight.
Sweet. Yeah, y'all go check it out.
2 hours from now ish, right?
Yeah, 8 o'clock Eastern.
Yep.
Awesome.
Thank you everyone for hanging out. Go through there. Please go wishlist the games if you haven't done so already. It definitely helps us out as indie devs, just with the algorithms and stuff like that. Check the games out. It'd be awesome. Go follow Brightside if you haven't already. Go check out the stream tonight. Yeah, I think that's kind of all I got.
Appreciate y'all, Fractal community. Thank you guys in chat and stuff. And you heard Turning Cog. You heard what they said, right? Said one of the favorite community members, right? You heard that, right? This guy right here.
Thank you guys so much. We'll see you next week. Go check out Brightside stream tonight. He'll be live later.
Just slide it over to the Boom stream.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, everybody say happy birthday to Boom when you get over there, please.
Yeah, please say happy birthday. All right, we got this. We got 8 seconds. 5, 4, 3.
Bye, everybody.
2, 1. Later, y'all. Have a good weekend.